anniversary of this festival for Mind, Body, Spirit here in London. And for most of the last 10 years that I've been coming, it's been my pleasure to introduce our guests from the United States here with us again this evening. The organisers do want me to point out, however, the silver booklet with the embossed cover, the anniversary commemorative souvenir catalogue, if you like, at the nominal price of £2 at the front desk or the performance stage, or the music on CD at £10, also available at the performance stage. But of more immediate import, as I say, for some years now, it's been my pleasure to introduce Richard and Tara Sutphen, our guests. They're from Malibu in California, very pleasant spot, I understand. Richard is one of the world's leading past life regression experts. His wife Tara is an occultist in her own right. In fact, she's got some copies of her book on the rear table, Blame It on Your Past Lives. There's just a few copies available. I'm sure she's happy to sign one for you in the break. Dick is the author of numerous books, none of which are here. However, there are a bunch of CDs on the table. His lovely wife Tara has those at the back of the room. This is a 4.5-hour session, so there will be a break and an opportunity to peruse the CDs and the books and stuff. Also, there is cold filtered water at the rear of the room. I've just changed the bottle, so nobody needs to dehydrate. If you drink enough of that, you'll need the toilets. The ladies are up time. I see Tara doing duty on the table, so it looks like Richard is leading off. So won't you please join me in welcoming our guest from the United States, Richard Sutphen.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, folks, very much for being here. You're willing to spend your Friday night doing this? 4.5 hours of this? Yeah. Being hypnotized? Okay, I'm going to kind of wait until everyone gets in the room. We'll start off a little bit slow. I've been doing this for a long time. And yet I still continue to find, I'm surprised. Things come up and I think, oh my God, thank God I've got the hypnosis. So I'll start off, I wasn't planning on doing this, so I'll start off here and telling you a story that's 2 days old of using hypnosis. Tara and I have been working here at the festival pretty much every day except Wednesday, and we had Wednesday off. And so even though we spent sometimes months at a time here in your country, and we love it here. And we've explored so many of the standing stones while we've been here, the standing stones of Callanish and many of the smaller sites, but we'd never gone to Stonehenge. I'd always felt it was this commercial site, and it just had a fence around it, and it just somehow didn't have much appeal. But the other day, we had just the one day off, and so we decided, well, let's go to Stonehenge. And I don't know, I think maybe Tara had had some bad food or something because she never gets motion sick. But she was feeling terrible by the time we got to Stonehenge. And I mean, really terrible. Ready to lose it. And she loves the standing stones 10 times more than I do. And when we got there, she was literally just doubled over with pain. And she really couldn't enjoy even begin to enjoy the stones. So those of you who have been there, you know there's a grassy areas off to the side where people or tour bus people can gather, I guess. And so she went over and she just laid down in the grass because that's all she felt like doing. And she could have done this herself, but I was just kind of rubbing her stomach and trying to send her healing energy. And I said, what if I just put you into hypnosis and give you a strong suggestion, okay? And she said, oh, please do it. And so I did exactly what I'm going to teach you to do here, almost literally word for word. And I had her go down into an altered state of consciousness, and I gave her the suggestion that your stomach is starting to feel fine. Your stomach feels better and better and better. And I gave her the suggestions for just 3 or 4 minutes. And then I told her that now on the count of 5, you're going to awaken, you're going to feel fine, you're going to feel good the rest of the day, you'll feel as good as you've ever felt before. And if at any time you should start to feel uncomfortable in any way, you just touch the tip of your index finger to the tip of your thumb. And that will just send soothing energy all through your body, and you will stabilize and you'll feel perfectly fine. So this whole process took at the most maybe 10 minutes, maybe 11, maybe 12, no more than that at the outside. And so I counted her back up. On the count of 5, you're going to open your eyes and be wide awake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And she opened her eyes, and she said, boy, wow, thank you. Thank you. I feel good. And she did. Now, it did start to come back up on her because, you know, like I say, I think she had food poisoning or something to that effect. So as we're driving home, there'd be a few times where I'd notice she'd just do this. And then, am I telling it exactly as it is? So there's an example of using self-hypnosis. It's a matter of once you learn it, you have it in your back pocket, you can use it forever. And if you use it even halfway regularly, then, boy, you can program yourself to any degree you desire. You can program yourself so that whenever you do this, you just like go down into trance. So to whatever degree, once you know it, you can always draw upon it very quickly. But if you use it 2 or 3 times a week, you'll always have it ready at any time you want. Put yourself right down to sleep. Focus your concentration if you need to focus concentration upon something. Memorize something quickly. Give yourself the suggestion that I really don't need that candy bar. I don't need that candy bar at all. My stomach is full. Boom. And it works. And the more you use it, of course, the better it works. So, if I go back more years than I care to remember, my first introduction to hypnosis was I bought a Melvin Powers book. I don't know if Melvin Powers books are available over here, and this is going back, like I say, they probably wouldn't be in print anymore, but they used to cost, it'd be less than £1 for this good-sized book on how to hypnotize yourself. And I bought the book, and I did everything it said, and I just didn't think anything was happening. Just thought, well, yeah, And I didn't realize I couldn't recognize the state of trance. I was hypnotizing myself, I just wasn't recognizing what I was doing, and I didn't have enough of an understanding of it. So later, when I actually took a class to learn the basics of self-hypnosis, basically the same kind of class I'll be conducting in here, I came to realize that I was doing fine, and it just took a little practice, and pretty soon I knew without a doubt that that it was effective. I think the first time I used it after I took the class, I was out on a boat, and I'm not real good on the seasickness sort of thing, and I started to get seasick, and I thought, I don't want to be embarrassed here in front of everybody being sick on the boat, and I did a suggestion. I just went over the edge of the boat, and I counted myself down into trance, and I gave myself the very strong suggestion to stabilize. You're going to feel fine. And I counted myself up. And I felt fine. So, simple examples of what you can do with it. And of course, I kept pushing it. Then I took formal training and worked and decided, well, if I can do this, I can do that. I even visited Melvin Powers, the guy that wrote the book, as I learned the professional techniques, and he was really, really kind. I mean, he spent the better part of an afternoon with me, and he told me the way he got into publishing for hypnosis is that he learned self-hypnosis, and he started to test himself with it to see just what he could do. And he said, when I could open a page of Newsweek and then just very quickly scan through the page, close my eyes, go into trance, and then remember everything that I'd read. He said, I realized I really had something. And he began to publish a lot of books on hypnosis. I had to try to see if I could use it to alleviate real pain, like going to the dentist, so I did. And it works. But there's a lot of anxiety. I went to the dentist about a month ago, and I just said, no, just shoot me. I didn't want to go through it all again and see. But I've done it, and I've done it more than once, where I've gone to the dentist, and I told him, just work on me, it's fine, and I blocked the pain. probably the most dramatic situation as far as the, at least as far as my dentist is concerned, was I started to get a periodontal disease where your gums begin to recede. And I thought, boy, I don't want this. And all I could find was Edgar Casey's remedies. And they said, well, use Ipsap bark. And so I started to use that. And then I began to, which is supposed to stop the receding. But I started visualizing, that's the true story, I started visualizing the gums growing back. And every day, at least one time, I'd go into trance and I'd visualize them growing, and I'd give myself suggestions they were growing. And then I went back, because the dentist wanted to cut and sew and operate, right away. And I said, no, you give me 30 days, man. And he said, what are you going to do, voodoo on him or something? And I said, maybe. And when I went back in there, this is a quote. He looked in my mouth, he ran and grabbed the x-rays, he looked in my mouth and he said, I don't fucking believe it. And he ran out of the office. True story. And he just questioned, what else did you do? What have you, it can't happen. Da, 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 da. But then he started talking at dental conventions, projecting my x-rays up on the screen. Gigantic pictures of my bad teeth, so and telling the story of how I voodooed my teeth. So I gave him something exciting to talk about. Okay, let's get serious here. I think we've got everyone in the room, and the festival is closing down. What I'm going to do here, I want to teach you how to quickly and easily and safely hypnotize yourself. And then to give yourself suggestions, commands to either change your life, improve your life. There's so many ways to use these techniques that I got to pull this back. I can't see you guys in the front row, right? Okay. Hypnosis is an altered state of consciousness. I think everyone in here realizes that. Just as meditation is an altered state of consciousness, the two are actually one and the same. It's just a state of mind in which we have altered consciousness. When you go to sleep at night, you lie down, you're probably starting to get a little sleepy, but you're still in beta, that's wide awake. And as you lie there and you start to slow down, you cross over into alpha, then down into theta, which is where you might see almost flashes or dreamlike images sometimes that'll come in. And then you cross over, you drop into regular sleep. Delta, sleep. And as you sleep during the night, you come up and down a little through those brain levels. They're cycle per second levels, actually, so they can be measured on an EEG machine to know exactly where you are. But as you awaken in the morning, you come back up through these levels until you open your eyes. And when you first open your eyes, you're still kind of groggy and you're still in alpha. But as you get up and start to move around, you come back into full beta consciousness. And depending upon what you do during the day, you're going in and out. As a writer, I sit at the keyboard, and when I sit there very long and I'm uninterrupted, and I usually listen to either New Age music or a new Mind Electronic CD we have called The Zapper, or I'll listen to Oriental music while I write. And so all of this combined just puts me right down into trance. So I am writing in trance, and so do most of the people who write. A painter who's just painting and he's not being interrupted during the day, he's going into an altered state of consciousness. Same with somebody who runs, a long-distance runner. People who work in factory jobs where it's just the same thing over and over and over and over, they go into an altered state of consciousness. So it's a natural state, and chances are you're going into it during the day. It's not good, but a lot of people go into it when they drive. Highway hypnosis is quite literally hypnosis. If you've ever had the experience of being out on the highway and you're driving and you've gone through a town and then all of a sudden you realize, wow, I went through Centerville? I don't remember being there. Well, you've literally been in hypnosis when you did it. You were in an altered state of consciousness. That doesn't mean you couldn't drive, but it's better to do it wide awake and alert. Much better. But hypnosis is a very misunderstood state of mind. It's really a matter of focusing your attention down on one thing. It's if there was some research that was done in a Boston hospital. I don't have it in my notes, but where they hooked people up. They started with children, then they went up through adults, and they hooked people up to a TV set, and they were being monitored for their brain levels. And what they found is that if you were used to watching much television at all, within just a very few moments after the TV was turned on, you went into trance. So chances are, while you are watching television, 2/3 of the time you're in trance. And you've probably had the experience somebody walks into the room and they talk to you, and you don't even realize, and they have to repeat it, and because you were so focused upon the screen and what was happening that you were in an altered state of consciousness. So, of course, you can go deeper. People, and watching much television, that conditions people to be great subjects right off the bat. So, but it's a matter of focusing your mind down upon one thing. A state of heightened suggestibility, and that's, of course, the real value here, in which the suggestions you give yourself are directed to and accepted by your subconscious mind. And they will have 25 to 200 times the programming power as if you really wanted to accept the suggestion and you were wide awake. That's a lot of power. It depends upon what kind of a subject you are. At least half the room, and I'm basing this upon real statistics of working with people and training people in this field, at least half the room would be 200 times as effective. So for that half, it's like a command. You tell yourself, I'm going to stop smoking. You are literally going to stop smoking. I mean, it's a command from you to yourself, or from the hypnotist to you. And those are the people, too, a high percentage of them, that the stage hypnotists worked with. Stage hypnotists that bring you up here on stage and tell you that you've lost your belly button. And you might crawl around all over the stage trying to fight it. So you've all seen that kind of demonstration. But hypnosis is not sleep. It's not regular sleep, which is a matter of becoming, unconscious right across the board. Hypnosis is a matter of, these are my words, but I see it as a matter of putting your body to sleep and focusing, then remaining alert, conscious, subconscious, superconscious mind, ideally. Because you can be focused upon one thing, and you can be sitting here in this room in a deep trance, and if a siren goes by outside, you're still going to hear the siren. The chances are it's just there in the background, and you remain focused on the subject at hand, whatever it is that you're doing. In a lot of ways, it's the state of being totally absorbed, as in a book or in a movie. And we've all been there. Now, the subconscious mind is a memory bank. It does not reason, or if it reasons so little, it doesn't really do us any good. It has one goal, which is to survive. So you're always looking back on the past in regard to the decisions that you're going to make today. So it does scan the past, and it is a memory bank. So in deep hypnosis, we can access anything you've ever experienced. All thoughts, anything you've said, anything you've ever done, this life or past lives if you accept reincarnation. Problem is that the subconscious mind is easily programmed. Of course, it's programmed by life experiences, number one. Every time you walk through a red door, you get hurt, it's going to remember that, and the minute you start to approach a red door, there's going to be a lot of anxiety coming up for you. It's programmed by everything you've ever experienced. If you've had negative experiences, it can program your mind in a very negative way. So oftentimes, the subconscious is working against you. You want to do one thing. You don't want to feel this way. You don't want this fear. You don't want this phobia. You don't want to be held in check at this level of success, and you don't seem to be able to do anything to rise above it, But somehow in here you're programmed that that's as far as you're going. So until you can add new programming, override this old programming, your level of success is not going to budge beyond that point. Or whatever it may be that's blocking you. Another important fact, I think, is the idea that, let's just say right now, I were going to tell you, I would give you the suggestion, and your conscious mind is going to hear this suggestion, that from this moment on, you only eat healthy foods, and you eat very small portions. You never snack between meals. You give up sugar. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Great, yeah, sure. And your conscious mind is going, oh, yeah? But, and so a lot of the really good suggestions that you would hear, your conscious mind is just going, no, 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 and it's rejecting them. And so what we do in hypnosis, and this is really important to understand this, it's a back door to get in and program. Because we kind of close down the conscious over here and we speak to the unconscious mind. And the unconscious accepts these suggestions. And when it's accepted enough suggestions, then the subconscious is the portion of our totality that begins to manifest conditions to create the reality that we've set up for programming. In other words, what's in here has to match what's out here. If you have a poverty consciousness in here, then you're going to experience a poverty consciousness out there. But if you have a success-oriented, very positive, beautiful life consciousness in here, that's what you're going to experience outside. And that's, you know, you've all heard that. You've heard that in so many, many different ways. But it's true, and it's being proven all the time. Research continues to document this fact. So the idea is to give you suggestions. We want to give suggestions to the subconscious to the point that these suggestions become a new belief. If you've been smoking for a very long time, every time you pick up the cigarette and inhale, you're programming the smoking and the need to smoke. So that's a lot of programming to overcome. But when you give yourself these commanding suggestions that you no longer need to smoke, you now are fine without smoking, you know, the smoking tastes bad, however you care to program it, the more you program this into your mind, and you have to do maybe a lot of it, but then it starts to override the old programming, and you start to let go of the cigarettes. So in letting go of undesirable traits, habits, addictions, affinities, you are reprogramming your mind. Reprogramming. But then you can turn around and now you want to program something different. Maybe you've got a job that will really serve you by programming, say, concentration, the ability to concentrate like a laser at will. So that's regular programming. And they are two different things. But once the new belief is in play, why, it will work to help manifest this in your outer life. Okay. One of the first questions I'm always asked in talking about hypnosis is, or the statements that I will hear, better yet, people will say, well, I don't think I can be hypnotized. Aren't there a lot of people that can't be hypnotized? And my response to that is that unless you are feeble-minded or you're mentally ill, you can be hypnotized. That's all there is to it. You may not recognize the state of hypnosis, but you can be hypnotized. I'm a very light-level subject. Very light level. If you test me with the electronic instruments, the EEG machine, on what is called a hip scale, I'm way up here towards the top. And yet I've done the sort of things that I've just talked about, done a lot more than that. But I've had tremendous past life regressions that have just been documented to the nth degree. I've had the type of medical experience I just described. And that's all done on a very light level. So it's harder for the person who's in the light level than it is for the majority of this room who will be down in a deeper level. But you can be hypnotized. You can be hypnotized by yourself. You can be hypnotized by someone else. If you desire the experience, and if someone else is doing the hypnotizing, you kind of need to trust the hypnotist. Otherwise, you're just going to set up enough blinders to avoid allowing it to happen. So, in a few moments, I'll be hypnotizing you as a demonstration, and then you're going to learn simply how to do it on your own. And with a little practice, I guarantee you that you'll soon have the confidence to induce the altered state of consciousness. Okay, let me talk here for just a moment about, I started on this and then I kind of got off of it, getting ahead of myself. Break down the potential benefits of self-hypnosis into three categories. And as I explained, you can reprogram. Now this is reprogramming unwanted behavior, such as impatience or overeating or worry can be removed, or morbid fears can be alleviated. You can help yourself to eliminate self-destructive habits such as drinking, drugs, or smoking. Anything that you have going on in your life that you don't like, that you want to change, that's reprogramming. Okay, number two now is programming. And these are new beliefs which can result in benefits such as developing, say, more self-discipline. Would be a good example. Becoming more successful. Learning to relax. Relax on command is probably a better way to say that. Relax on command. To resolve sexual problems. To concentrate. To accelerate healing. And to accelerate learning. That's one of the primary areas. We have a lot of CDs, man, a lot of tapes. And one of the most popular, I think about the top 5, is to accelerate learning. Because people come to realize that in using the techniques, they can accelerate the learning. So for tests or whatever it may be that they're working on, they use the programming. Okay, now the third category of potential benefits is to have subjective experiences. And this would be the sort of experiences you would have in meditation, metaphysical exploration such as past life regression, telepathy, remote viewing, developing psychic ability. You're always going to be able to be more psychic in an altered state than when you're wide awake. Glad a lot of you are making a lot of notes. You can remind me later what I said, right? Every year I conduct a professional training at home, which is just to teach people the fine aspects of past life regression, to refine it. But one of the things that I'm always pointing out to them, because they're going to be doing much more than just past life regression once they learn the techniques, but I'll point out always that there are 3 primary ways to change a human being. To change a human being. And this results to you changing you, too. And number 1 is you add something to their lives. You add maybe new people going to change you or change someone else. You add trust. You add a new environment. You add things, basically. You add additional awareness, additional responsibility, or maybe even improved health. That would be adding something. And when you add something like that, people change. Now, the second way to change someone is to take something away, such as people or things or fear or guilt or environment. You take away the environment and move them to a new environment. You take away trust. The loss of health would certainly cause change. And then number 3, which is the one that's most important by far to me, is you get them to be who they really are. Now this is transcendental change. This is what all of the human potential teachings over all the last 20, 30 years have been all about. Getting someone to be who they really are. And hypnotic techniques can support all three. Number one, by programming, you're adding something. You're adding a new ability or confidence or improvements of some kind. By reprogramming, you're taking something away, probably an undesirable trait or a habit or a fear. And number three, when used as a tool for self-exploration, hypnosis can help you to become who you really are, to become all you can be, to find the cause sometimes behind what you're experiencing in your life, and thus helping you to be free of it. So, any questions or comments at this time? Anything you'd like to ask me about this before I proceed into this? And in a moment, we're going to send you off into that level of mind. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Why is someone a somnambulist and someone else isn't? Yeah. I don't know. I wish I did know. It seems to be something we're born with. And I know a lady in Arizona, a woman, lawyer, who is so deep level of subject she can't drive a car. She gets behind the wheel of a car and it's just too much. The motion. She once tried to drive a Winnebago, those big trailers, across the desert between New Mexico and the city in Arizona. And she decided that she had to get up and pee, and she just got up and walked back and never stopped the car. Never stopped it. She was so deep into trance that... Now, why is she that kind of a subject and someone else is, like myself, a very light level subject? I don't know. Because I've worked with it for years and years and years. Why does someone have a particular ability? My wife, Tara, has an ability to go down into theta, which is a deep level, and to remain there for hours. So she can do automatic writing. I mean, we've been together 18 years, so she's been doing it the whole time we've been together. And she can do automatic writing in touch with the other side. And she will go down so deep and stay there so long, that she'll come up with just pages and pages and pages of work. I have tried and tried and tried to do that, and I simply can't do it. It's a fragile level when you get to that top of theta, and you either go to sleep or you awaken. So I tried it for a while. For weeks I tried it where I'd set an alarm clock, and I wake myself up at about 8 minutes. And I'd get down there and start to have these visions ring, or I'd fall asleep, or I'd wake up before it. So I don't know. It's just the way you are, and to fight it probably really won't do any good. What I always will try to point out is if you are a deep-level subject, then there's things to really be considered. There's dangers that you need to be aware of in regard to just things like driving. You shouldn't be driving on a lonely road at night where that flick, 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 that little broken dotted line is in your peripheral vision, because it'll put you into trance. Anyone else? Questions at this point you'd like to ask? Yes, ma'am. I'm going to really get into how to formulate the suggestion later on here this evening, because that's one of the most important aspects, exactly how you formulate it so that it works. Yeah. Positive is better. Always better. But there's a lot of tricks and techniques to it that we'll talk about. So, okay, yeah. The suggestion is if it were already accomplished. It's always as if it were already so. So that the subconscious mind starts to get it and say, oh, that's the way it is, and that's the way. Then I have to match that. You are a good golfer. Really? Oh, okay. You are a good golfer. I am a good golfer. I'm a great golfer. I hit the ball better than Tiger Woods. I'm the greatest golfer ever. So the subconscious mind goes, well, better start getting behind this then. I don't want to be... A lot of what I'm going to say tonight sounds simplistic. It's repetitive. It's a doing it, and doing it, and it works. And it is simplistic. as if it were already so. Yes, sir. Not really. No, it's not. No, it's not, because a hypnotic suggestion will last 4 to 5 days. And even if you're a deep-level subject, you can't really count on it lasting a whole lot longer than that. That's why you will have, oftentimes, if you, I don't know how, well, I know you guys have these revivals here. The preachers that get out there and the fire and the brimstone, and they're bringing the people up to the front, the miracles and the healings that are taking place. And we've got a lot of those nuts at home that do that sort of thing. But most of what they're presenting is carefully calculated hypnosis. And I always try to get the people I train to go at least once to study them, because they'll always manage to generate people out of the audience who really do have problems, but they'll give them a suggestion, and the problem's gone. But it only lasts about 4 to 5 days. So they never point that out on next week's show or on... they're gone because the tent revival's moved on down the road by that time. But that's about it. So if you decide to go to a hypnotherapist, it is a commitment you should be there, on a regular basis. Or you learn to do it yourself. You can make your own tapes very easily. I've got 1 million tapes, but I'm the first one to tell you that what I do myself when I want to work on something specific is I've just got a little... For us, it's about a $25, $30 tape recorder. I just sit down, I talk into it. It's not the greatest quality tape, but that way it makes it real easy, and I don't have to do the hypnosis each time. And I just lay down and listen to it. Listen to it, maybe make one that's sleep programming, which at the end of it, it just tells me to go off into sleep. And I do one that wakes me up. And, it'd be no better quality than what you would do with your little tape recorder. So it doesn't have to be fancy. But it does have to be right. It does have to be done so that the suggestions are the proper suggestions and your visualizations are fitting the situation. And I would give you ideally 5 different things to do, and that's the 5 most powerful things you can do. You do those over and over and over, and you will get results. And sometimes it takes a long time. We have a New Age musician that we just released. Our last music release is by a man named Jerry Crocker, a New Age musician in Tucson. It's called Feather in the Wind. And Jerry came to me with this beautiful album and asked if I'd like to release it. And I listened to it and said, God, I'd love to release it. It's wonderful. And he said, well, I came to you first because I've been using your tape on accelerating musical skill. And he said, I figure I listened to it every day for a year before I all of a sudden saw something start to happen that he said, boy, all of a sudden I really got it. And he said, this is the first piece as a result of that. So, and we released it. It's doing just fine for us. So we were all served by the experience. But I tell you that because he used it for a year. Now, most things you're not going to have to listen to for a full year. I'm sure he got a little better and a little better and a little better as he was listening. But he felt like, boy, at the end of the year, I'm there. I finally did it. Most things are going to take you about 2 weeks to start to feel something happening. It takes about 2 weeks to reach your natural level, doing this every day, once a day. But after that point, depending on, some things are going to be a lot easier to program than others. But after that time, you should start to see some things happening. I realize this is boring. It's a lot more fun to just do this stuff, but I need to give you some of the basic information. Let's just... maybe this will help, because I see a lot of you are writing it down here. Anyway, the brain, as best we all know at this point in time, is, as I say, the 4 levels. Now, if you're wide awake, you're in beta. When you start to go down into the altered state, you're in alpha. Theta, this point right here, when you get down, you're coming down, going down, relaxing, letting go. When you hit theta, it's called the hypnagogic line. Now, this is the level that Einstein says he would go to every afternoon. He would lie down, rest, kind of just count himself down, and he said he'd go down to the hypnagogic line, and that's where he'd get his inspiration. So in other words, what he was saying, as far as I'm concerned, is that he channeled the information. It's just coming into his mind when he hits that level. That's where Tara goes when she does her automatic writing with her spirit guide Abenda. And that has been verified. People send her letters, these god-awful troubled letters, and she goes into why they have the problem as far as looking at their past lives and what they should be doing to release the problem. She's in contact with someone on the other side that knows about the problem, or someone that loved them maybe in life. And at this level, she sees them and they write through her hand. So this is very powerful, to learn to come to this point and to remain there. And then the bottom here, this is delta. That's deep sleep. So I'm going to be real simple. Let's just say, here's the whole mid-beta range. You're wide awake. Right here in the middle, this would be, if this cycle, it's all cycle per second activity up here. There's an electrical charge just firing away in your brain right now. Electricity, literally. And if you convert the cycle per second activity, the hertz rate, in other words, of your brain to beats per minute, which can be done, then this would be about 850 beats per minute up here in mid. So if you're in mid-range, wide awake, for most of you, age is a factor here, and there are other factors. And if I put you to sleep already, you may be down here. But about 850 beats a minute. Now, when you get down here to this level, down to theta, this is about 145 beats per minute. So see, the cycle per second electrical activity of your brain is just slowing down. Slowing down. When you get down here into delta, mid-delta is about 30 beats per minute. So that's just beep, 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 if you're hooked up to a machine which is monitoring your brain. So what we're talking about, to go into an altered state of consciousness, is to just slow down the cycle per second activity of your brain. And it can be done with you counting down. It can be done with, I'll play some different sounds here in a little bit. Sounds will do it to you. The dreams are going to be primarily right in here. You may come up all the way up into theta. You're going to come up and down during sleep a little bit. But they're going to take place down here in delta when everything else is shut down. But you can start to see, have you ever had the experience you're crossing over asleep at night and you have a flash of some kind, you'll see something. Sometimes I'll see faces coming at me. I don't know what they are. But it'll always take place right about here. Now, here's what's happening to your brainwave. I'll put that back in a minute. I see some people are trying to copy it down. But if we measure your brainwave and we're looking at it where it's printed out, it's like this when you're in beta. It's very tight and it's very small, like that. And so they say it's like, you can't get a new suggestion to even go in there. But as you get down here, like way down into the theta range, and you look at it on the printout, it's like this. And it breaks apart sometimes. And Ira Pritikin won a Nobel Prize with his theory of dissipative structures. And it explains why programming is so powerful in hypnosis, in meditation, however you care to look at it. What happens is the brain waves are very fragile here, and it's like pulling a piece of taffy, and it comes apart. But then they come back together, and each time they come apart and go back together, they get stronger. And they absorb the new programming into them. Now, I'm overly simplifying. Please understand that. But that's what's happening. And so when you're here and your brain waves are slowed down and you're relaxed, relaxation is automatically part of this, you're open to these new suggestions. And they go in and they are accepted at this level. There's room for them to get in, so to speak. And as it comes apart, it comes back together, it's a higher form. And so what Pritikin's theory of dissipative structures went on to show was that each time you program something successfully, it was more likely that you would be able to program something new successfully in the future. So in other words, success builds on success, builds on success, builds on success when you reprogram in an altered state of consciousness. Okay, any questions on this part? Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very tight. Well, or it can go the other way where there's like shock. And they simply drop down here. And I will often, as an example of that, well, I see you guys have them in your airports too. Like the Hare Krishnas or somebody, they come up to you, and they used to be in the LA airport. They'd always come up behind. They like scare you. All of a sudden you turn like this, and there they are, right in your face. And what happens, and somebody tested this with photography to prove it, is you're shocked. And when you're shocked, your eyes tend to start to dilate. And that's saying that you're going into an altered state. And then they're saying, buy this book. And now you're at least 25 to 200 times as open to suggestion. And they know it. It's part of how they've been trained to work. Whether they happened upon it accidentally or not, I don't know. I've had some of the born-again Christians say, we are not hypnotists. We are not doing this hypnotically. And say, well, then why do you pace your voice like you do? You get out there and you will be saved. They're the master hypnotists. Now, they may not realize that's what they're doing. Maybe the guys that are in the airport selling their books don't know that's what they're doing to the people, but they're putting them into an instant altered state. It's not a long time thing, but you are so much more susceptible at that point to a suggestion. You want to buy this book. You want to help us. I don't know how they phrase it, but it's something like that. But normally, yes, you're up here, you're just busy, busy, busy. You're just cranking. You're on 3 cups of coffee. You're really up into beta. It used to be when I'd be doing private work, I'd have people come to my office and I would measure them on what's called a brainwave synchronizer, developed by a man named Snyder in America, who was he was a radar operator during the war. And he'd realize that his guys sat there during the war watching that thing go around and the blip, blip. He said they all just going into trance. And so he started to measure brain waves, and he started to come up with a photoc stimulator that would just be a flashing light. And so I'd always measure people who'd come into my office as to where their brain waves naturally would run. And then I could set the device at that point, and I could hypnotize them very quickly the second time they'd come in. I'd leave them with suggestions anyway, but it was a powerful way to put somebody quickly into trance by turning that flashing light to a certain point that I knew from pre-checking was their brainwave. Older folks tended to remain in beta much more so than the younger people, which was an interesting thing to me. Yeah. Yeah. You tuned out. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you were probably just you were going away, it'd be my guess. I mean, you may have been going off into sleep. You may have been going off into what we call a tripping state, where you're in and out. You're not really right there staying with it. Had you purposely altered the consciousness and had you purposely altered it and given yourself, I will listen to everything that's being said and I will absorb it and remember it, it probably would have worked very differently. But as I'll tell people, all you have to do to be a good hypnotist is to talk boring. And that's true. If you talk like you're just bored to death, you bore everybody else to death, and they will go to... There's a guy at home who does spoon bending. And spoon bending's fun. I love to do spoon bending myself with a group where you get... I do it by directly putting you into trance and telling you that you can bend the spoon. You're going to send your mental energy into the spoon, and you bend it, and we start all the bend, bend, bend in a deep trance. But this guy doesn't want to do that. He just wants to... So he bores you to death for about an hour and a half of talking. And he's talking like this, and the voice is rolling, and All you have to do to put somebody into trance is to roll your voice. You just hit the beat and you talk like this. And you can speed it up or slow it down. But as long as you can talk on the beat, you will put people to sleep. That's what most of the big name lawyers are highly trained hypnotists. For real. And I know I could tell you who trained most of the big names you'd recognize. I didn't do it. No, I believe in karma. I'm not training those guys for nothing. No way. No. But if you have 12 people in a jury box, you have at least 2 or 3 people who are automatically the deepest level somnambulists, you see. And so if every time the lawyer wants to make a point, he begins to slow down his voice and talk about how my client is innocent. He's innocent. And I usually I don't dare touch this or it'll come apart. But, he'll be tapping his pencil or hitting something, and he's just driving it in so that those 2 or 3 people in the jury box who are somnambulists are okay. It doesn't threaten them. Okay. Whatever you say. And as a result, all you have to do is look at the history of these the big name lawyers, and what they do is they hang the jury. Because they notoriously take guilty people. So more often than not, they'll get a hung jury, and then the people get off just because the jury can't come to a decision. Because at least 2 or 3 people are saying, no, innocent. I can't. I'm not exaggerating here. So anyway, Mozart, too, has said that it was at this point where he composed his music. So if you can do your creative work down there, it's neat. You're channeling maybe the collective unconscious when you learn to work down in theta. So when you're going to sleep, you're going down, let me again repeat, through these levels. So it's a common experience for you to go here. But it's not common for you to sit down like you are right now, put yourself down into trance, take yourself right down there and give yourself suggestions, and then come back up with giving yourself positive suggestions as you awaken. And that's what we want to be able to do. Let me make one more point. Most of the people who are the best subjects, and this is not a put-on, are strong-willed, intelligent, imaginative people. The very best subjects to work with, if I'm hypnotizing someone as a professional hypnotist who's hypnotizing a subject, or if you're doing it yourself. The more strong-willed you are, the more intelligent, the more imaginative, the more successful you're going to be at this if you stick to it, if you simply do the basic work. Also, another important point, if I were hypnotizing someone else and I were to tell them to do something against their morals or their self-preservation or against their religion, they would not comply unless they wanted to. They would either refuse or they would awaken. So, and the reason this seems to be so is because even in a deep trance, you cannot detach your ego. So, yes. Well, you got to learn to phrase it a little more intelligently than that. I'm going to awaken. I'm going to be wide awake and fully alert for the next couple hours, whatever. But you don't want to give it to yourself over and over and over all day long that this is what I'm going to do and then not need to sleep. You can't do that. I do have a CD that we sell a lot of called Getting By on 4 Hours Sleep. But I always figure that's for a crisis period. I don't want to see people use that for... And boy, do we get letters saying, man, does it work? But usually if I write back, I'll say, well, don't do it for a long period of time. You really need more hours than 4. Would you be better off giving yourself 2 or 3 easy programs, I'm repeating for the microphone and for the back of the room, than to take on one big heavy one right off the bat? I always tell people don't take on more than one heavy one at a time. But let's say you want to stop smoking. That would be a heavy one. Or somebody wanted to lose weight. That's a heavy one. That doesn't mean you couldn't work on something like improving your concentration over here, or something along that line, some other easier to accomplish things. It's just don't take on a real heavy, because you just water down your time. Oh, I think that's fine because it'll boost your confidence. Experiment with it. Just experiment with it. See what happens. If you have a burning issue, I think somebody's going to work on that burning issue probably first. But if not, just start to explore. Don't anyone do this now and don't let it fall, because it's just too powerful. It will work. It will work. So, for hypnotic suggestions to work, decide what the suggestion implies. You need to desire what the suggestion implies. In other words, you need to want it. You can say, I really don't want to quit smoking, but I'm going to give myself suggestions. Now, that's just working against yourself. In other words, you got to want it. And that way you're starting to cooperate on all levels of mind. Otherwise, you're just fighting yourself with it. So, anyway, what we're going to do here is I'm going to give you a model, the first model, and then I'm going to have you do this. I think I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to get going here with a session. Let me tell you, if you're making notes, let me write this part down, will you? We're talking here in terms of 5 steps. Now, we're going to go through these steps in different ways as we move on tonight. But first of all, you're going to do deep breathing. To go into an altered state of consciousness, you want to do deep breathing. Deep breathing. Number 1. Now, this is a matter of taking a very deep breath in, holding it for as long as you comfortably can, then let it out slowly through slightly parted lips. This allows you to retain the dampness, the wetness in your mouth. And then contract your stomach muscles a little more and a little more. Press the breath further out. And then repeat the process. Now, this is diaphragm breathing, and it causes the diaphragm to cut in even before the lungs. So anytime you want to calm down, if you do some of this deep diaphragm breathing, deep breath in, hold it as long as you comfortably can, let it out slowly, and then push it even further out, and then repeat the process. Now, there's other times of breathing. I just did an album, a Zen album for Nightingale Conant. I think they mail over here to a lot of people, the big Chicago tape company. And I really went into Zen breathing in there. And I thought, well, should I talk about that tonight? But I think this is enough, It gets much more. There's a lot of different forms of breathing, alternate breathing in some yogas. So if you don't like one, use another. But this one is powerful. It will always calm you down. So that's step number 1. Then step number 2 is to mentally relax your body one part at a time. And this is a matter, I'll do it to you the first or second time here, of thinking your feet are going to sleep, and then my lower legs are going to sleep, and my upper legs are going to sleep. And you put your body to sleep. And if you do, you'll learn to do this, but within about 2 weeks, if you were to do this every day, within about 2 weeks, you don't even have to think in terms of feet, lower legs, upper legs. I just imagine as if somebody were taking warm water and they were just pouring it over my body. And I just feel my body relax, and the warmth just kind of comes up top of my head. And I remind myself that my jaw's relaxed. I'm allowing a little space between my teeth, and my throat is relaxed. And my entire body is now relaxed all over in every way. Watch it, you're going to sleep. You've been with me too many times. Okay, so that's number 2, is that you relax your body. It's an easy 5 steps here. Now, we'll go into the steps in considerable detail as we move along. Number 3 is a countdown. Now, I will use a countdown here tonight, and I'll teach it because I like it best, of number 7, deeper, 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 down, down, down. Number 6, deeper. And I do that twice, backwards from 7 to 1, 2 times. And your subconscious mind is a visual consciousness, so it really responds well to visual programming or visual even induction. So it's important to imagine yourself going down. as you do the countdown. This is very, very important. And it should be something that is comfortable for you. I imagine myself, you've seen Arizona, the Monument Valley, those big spheres that go up in the middle of our desert area. And I imagine myself on top of one of those, and then I just dive into space. And so as I go number 7, deeper, 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 and I'm just twirling through space going down. I make it a soft landing when I hit. It's kind of a sand, and I come in, and I really do it that way. But somebody else is going to want to just walk down a hill in the countryside, walk downstairs. The first time I was ever taught self-hypnosis, going back 25 years, and the man said, deeper, deeper, down, down. And I just saw myself on the side of a pyramid, climbing down a very steep pyramid, the stairs on a pyramid. And I realized later it was a Mayan-type pyramid that we have down in Mexico and Central America, because what I saw was so vivid, and I was able to identify it later. But that jumped into my mind because it obviously jumped out of my past lives. But it's a long way to say, visualize going down as you count backwards from 7 to 1. Now at this point, you're going to be there. You'll be, at the completion, you'll be in an altered state of consciousness. And each time you do it, you'll go a little deeper and a little deeper until sometime between when you started and 2 weeks now, 14 days later, at some point in there, you're going to hit your natural level. And without extreme forcing, that's probably where you'll stay, is right about in that natural hypnotic level. You may hit it in a week, but it'll probably take that long. But we can always safely say that you've attained your natural level after 2 weeks of doing this every day. So it's at this point that you would give yourself properly worded suggestions. It's at this point that you would use the other techniques that I'll be teaching you. A mantra technique, a keyword trigger programming, different things we'll talk about, mental movies. But of course, the very least you're going to do is you're going to give yourself the properly worded suggestions. So that's the work time. Here you are. You're in an altered state of consciousness. That's the time now you do your work. It will take you maybe, 6, 7, 8 minutes to get down there, at the most. Now, how do you want to use your time? You can stay there for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 10 minutes. My RX-17 programming tapes, which are probably among our most powerful, each session's only 20 minutes long. But in that time, you go down into the altered state, you hear the suggestions, you do create mental movies, you participate in a mantra, you hear the suggestions again, you do another mental movie for at least a minute and a half, you're given keyword programming, and you're awakened. And the whole process took 20 minutes. Okay, now number 5 is that you count yourself up with positive suggestions. In other words, you're counting up. I'm going to count up from 1 to 5. On the count of 5, I will open my eyes and be wide awake, fully alert, thinking and acting with calm self-assurance. And then you count up, and then you reinforce the suggestion. I'm going to awake, and I'll be focused like a laser upon the project at hand. Whatever it is, I will awaken now on the count of 5, and I'll feel confident about my healing. You reinforce whatever it is as you come back up. And then number 5, wide awake. Wide awake. Open your eyes. Feel good. You just stop at 3. You stop at 3. And it's one of the best techniques in the world to deal with insomnia. It really is. It really is. But even myself, sometimes I have to remember to use it. I have to think, damn, I've been sitting here for a half hour thinking about something that this is ridiculous. Now, and that's what I'll do. So I'll calm myself down. And I visualize it as I'm doing it. Okay. Now, I want to do one complete session. So what I'm going to need to do is to use the word I as I run this session. So what I need you to do is to pretend that my voice is actually your inner voice. Now, you can always do this speaking up out loud if you want to, but I just want to run the whole process, and so you'll follow my lead here, but it's as if my voice is your voice. So I'd like you to put your feet flat on the floor, put your stuff down on the floor. It's important to realize anytime that you're doing hypnosis that weight exaggerates. So if you cross your legs, one leg can become incredibly heavy during the session. So you don't want to put yourself in a position where any weight can exaggerate. You want to make yourself just perfectly comfortable as you can in those greatly comfortable chairs that you're sitting in. I'd rather stand, but I think you better do this sitting down. All right, I'd like you now to close your eyes. I'm not going to put any music behind this. This is just straight as if you were doing this sitting at home or your office or wherever, all right? So let's do the deep breathing. All on your own, I'd like you to do the deep breathing just as I've described. The deep breath in, hold, then let it out slowly through slightly parted lips. And when you feel the breath is all the way out, contract your stomach muscles and push it even further out and further out. So breathe deeply. And it's very important as you're breathing deeply to quiet your mind. I realize you're not yet Zen level meditators, so external thoughts are going to come into your mind. And what you want to do is recognize the thought and then just brush it aside. Tell yourself, I'll deal with that later. And return your concentration to breathing deeply and relaxing completely. So quiet your mind. Allow the quietness of spirit to come in. And it feels good. Feels good. And in just a moment, I'm going to ask that you relax your body one part at a time. I'll play the role, play the part. Feel that part of your body relaxing. And I'm relaxed and at ease. So relaxed, so at ease now, letting go. And the relaxing power is now coming into the toes of both of my feet at the same time. It's moving right on down into the ball, into my arches, into my heels, and right on up to my ankles. Completely relaxed, completely relaxed. And I now feel the relaxing sensations moving on up my legs to my knees. Relaxing my lower legs now. And the relaxing sensations move on up now, my upper legs, into my thighs and into my hips, permeating every cell and every atom. And the relaxing sensations now move on down into the fingers of both of my hands. Relaxing my hands. I feel my hands relaxing and my forearms are relaxing. And my upper arms are relaxing. And my entire body is relaxing as I send the relaxing sensations now down into the base of my spine. And I imagine a warmth in the base of my spine. And I feel this warmth now spreading slowly up my spine, up my spine, up my spine, and into the back of my neck and shoulder muscles. And the back of my neck and shoulder muscles are now relaxed and at ease, so loose and limp. And the relaxing sensations now move on up the back of my neck and into my scalp, relaxing my scalp. And I now feel them drain down into my facial muscles, relaxing my facial muscles. Now my jaw is relaxed, and I allow a little space between my teeth, and my throat is relaxed, and my entire body is now relaxed all over in every way. And all tension is gone from my body and mind. And I now count backwards from 7 to 1 as I imagine myself going down, down, down. Number 7, deeper, 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 down, down, down. Number 6, deeper, 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 down, down, down. Number 5, deeper, 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 down, down, down. Number 4, deeper, 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 down, down, down. Number 3, deeper, 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 down, down, down. Number 2, deeper, 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 down, down, down. Number 1. And I'm now relaxed and at ease, and I feel deep. But I'm going to count down a little more, deeper down. Number 7, deeper, 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 down, down, down. Number 6, deeper, 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 down, down, down. Number 5, deeper, 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 down, down, down. Number 4, deeper, 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 down, down, down. Number 3, deeper, 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 down, down, down. Number 2, deeper, 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 down, down, down. Number 1. And I'm now relaxed and at ease, and I'm in hypnosis. And I'm now going to give myself some suggestions that will be communicated to every level of my body and mind. And I will accept these suggestions on every level of my body and mind. and so it is. I have the power and ability to quickly become adept at self-hypnosis. I have the self-discipline to practice a daily self-hypnosis session. Self-hypnosis improves the quality of my life. Self-hypnotic suggestions are extremely powerful. My mind accepts suggestions and acts upon them. Every day, in every way, my life gets better and better. I am self-confident, self-assured, and ready to accept any challenge. I now use self-hypnosis to attain self-mastery. And these suggestions have been communicated to every level of my body and mind, and they've been accepted on every level of my body and mind. And so it is. I now become a master of self-hypnosis. And it's time to create a mental movie, to vividly imagine something that I desire as if I already had it, as if my goal were already accomplished. Now, my goal must not in any way infringe upon the rights or free will of any other human being, for that would set karma into play. My goal must be something I desire to accomplish or develop on my own. So I'm going to take a few moments to decide what it is that I want to program with the unlimited power of my mind. So I'll do this now. What do I want to program? All right. Now, in just a moment, I'm going to program my mind with visualization. My subconscious mind is a visual consciousness, so it responds best to images. So I'll now make these images real by adding excitement and positive emotions to the full extent of my ability. I'll be the writer, director, producer, and star of this mental movie, and I'll make it feel real. So I now vividly visualize what I desire as an already accomplished fact. I'll do this now. And I have just seen my own reality. The images now manifest in my life, and I become a master of life with this powerful self-hypnosis technique. And now, for just a few moments, I'm going to notice how my body feels. I'm going to scan my body and notice just exactly how it feels. And every time I go into self-hypnosis, I will feel my body less and less, less and less, while my mind remains alert to the programming session. And now, on the count of 5, I will open my eyes and be wide awake, fully alert, thinking and acting with calm self-assurance. And I'll remain at peace with myself, the world, and everyone in it. So number 1, I'm coming on up now. I feel the lifeblood returning to my arms and legs. Number 2, coming on up a little more and at peace with all life. Number 3, coming on up now, and I'm sensing an internal balance and harmony. Number 4, I'm recalling the situation in the room. And number 5, wide awake, wide awake. Open your eyes and feel good. Number 5, wide awake. All right. How you doing? It's good to be down there. Some people do not want to come back from there. Wait till you start going into higher self. People really don't want to come back from there. But you always come back. The very worst that would happen is you fall asleep, and then you awaken after you've had enough sleep. Whereas a hypnotist, I just kind of roll your eye back, and I'll blow on your eye and dry it out, and you'll wake up. Quick. Because I eat a lot of jalapeno peppers and Mexican food, so you'll come back quick. Okay. Questions? Comments about what you just experienced. Now everybody's back, right? See a few people, but just okay. Now a lot of you didn't feel much at all. A lot of you just you're kind of just, well, I don't really feel anything. But if you listened to what I did, if you participated, believe me, you were in an altered state. If you'd have been hooked up to an EEG machine, it would have shown. Whew, the very lightest anybody in this room that participated would be in that mid-alpha range. So you did it. Next time you do it, you go down a little more and a little more. And we're going to do it several times here tonight. So I want you to be stoned, babe. I like glassy-eyed people looking out at me from... Yes. Yeah, it's a fragile state. It's a very fragile state. Did you go that deep now with this? Oh, you did. Oh, with. Okay, well then you're really already a well-conditioned subject, right? Oh, okay. Yeah. So for something like that, if the best I can tell you, like I say, I can't retain it very long there myself, but I do work with a zapper, which takes you there. And that will hold me. And I'll play that just as a demonstration here in a minute because that's an example. You need to get in touch with what's happening to your body. And I can work with the zapper on in that range for a long time. So it's the only thing that's been able to help me. That and another program we have called an enhancer, which really is designed for eyes open work. But I feel happier. I gave you good suggestions. Very good suggestion. You gave them to yourself. I think I phrased them I. So, yeah, it's good. It's a mood lifter for sure. You get to use this. You want to bring your mood up. It's a great way to do it. But you see the simplicity of the process. Yes, sir? No, subliminal suggestions are nowhere near as powerful. Subliminals are good support programming. I don't mean to downplay them, but that's been a lot of press, a lot of weird press stuff, you know, and we certainly use them. We use them as the B side of a tape, say, or track 2 of a CD. But I've always stressed this is support programming, and you have to be predisposed to what the suggestion is saying. I believe it was Omni Magazine that probably had one of the really good reports on subliminals where they said, let's say you are listening to a subliminal that says, buy a new Cadillac. You desire a new Cadillac. If you're a Toyota owner or a Rover owner, over here maybe, it's not going to convince you to buy a new Cadillac, but it might start you to thinking about buying a new Rover or whatever car that you normally. So see, they're funny. You have to really be predisposed to what it is that the suggestion is saying. The earliest tests were in the movie theater of you're thirsty, you want a Coke, you want popcorn. Well, you know, yeah, sure, that wasn't a hard sell. You wanted that anyway. So, superphysical, I don't know what superphysical is. I don't know. Maybe got me there. But there's an awful lot of subliminals. I see them here in your commercials as well. That's built in. Anytime you see something in your commercials where it's repetitive, do 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 do, might just be focused on little kids running down the stairs or something, or plop plop fizz fizz. Oh, what a relief it is. Those are hypnotically produced commercials, and there's a lot of them in England and America. And what it is, they know you're in a trance anyway when you're watching the tube. And so when they can bring in a hypnotically produced commercial, it can be done with light, it can be done in a lot of ways. And then you listen to how those things are phrased. And they are really, they're spoken suggestions, but they're done in a subliminal manner. They've set it up oftentimes. Huh? No, they're not forbidden. No, they could actually be programming you subliminally. It's not forbidden. I don't think it's forbidden here. It's not forbidden in America. Everybody thinks it is, but it's not. I've had people approach me even to put them in, you know, when you drive up to the drive-in restaurant to buy food where the music's going on, you know, and so when you're hearing the music, there's a subliminal that says, buy 3 desserts. You want 3 pieces of apple pie. You know, it's like my reaction to that, I'm not, you know, I don't want the karma. I'll have to come back as a 400-pound person next life if I did that. Survivor? Yeah. Yes. Oh, they were putting in subliminals. They were so fast they were a blip. Yeah. Yeah, that blip is powerful. Now, we use it on our video hypnosis because we have these hypnosis programs that are spoken spoken suggestions, subliminal suggestions, visual, and then even it's flashing on the screen too, faster than you can read it. And it's very powerful stuff. When you combine all forms together, why, it's about as powerful as you can get. Yes. Bad image right off the bat, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So you didn't control the visual, you just went with what happened. That's like I did the first time, yeah. Right, right. Yeah. Right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I thought about that, whether or not I should tell you, you know, right off the bat, just come up with something. Because in a moment I want you to try to write it down, where you're wide awake and you're trying to figure out, you know, exactly what you want to do. But it showed you the process, at least, at that point. Did you decide upon something within... I gave you 30 seconds to think about what you might like. Did other people have trouble deciding what they wanted to program? Let me see a show of hands here. Well, no, you're all alone, sir. Over half the room had a problem deciding. So what I would say in deciding is decide upon the most important issue to you first. So it's a good exercise right there. Yeah, what would you most like to work on in your life? And then we'll have other people say, well, nothing. Yeah, okay. So you've got it when the time comes. You'll be able to use it, I guess. But you decided and then it changed on you? Oh, the issue just changed. Okay. Yeah. Well, this is a good, when you're down here, we kind of remove the filters that normally block access to subconscious mind, and you start to get in touch with stuff. Things will come up and you'll think, where the hell did that come from? You know, why did I remember that after all these years? So you are uncorking the bottle, so to speak, because you are opening to subconscious awareness, and other things will come up. You will have things that you are quite surprised at, and what I would say is that on some level there's still something going on there. There's still energy on it, so it's still an issue, at least to some degree. And so what I would want to do, I guess, is to examine it in a little more depth. Try to find out what it is. You know, why is that coming up? Why is, you know, the ex-husband all of a sudden, I haven't thought about for 3 years, why is all of a sudden he over here? And what haven't I resolved to there? And I'd process myself. All this is about asking yourself the right, you know, the solutions aren't usually that difficult, but we hide from the questions. So we want to ask ourselves questions. And I guarantee you, exploring self-hypnosis will bring up a lot of questions for you. Yes, somebody had, yes ma'am. No, I usually stop about the time I'm really getting into relaxing my body. If I think about it, I might keep breathing. It's different sometimes. You know, maybe I'll sit down, maybe I've been hurrying around a lot, and I decide I want to do some self-hypnosis. Well, relaxing my body one time might not be enough, but I can feel it. You're going to get in touch with the physical here to a great degree. And so I might relax my body 2 or 3 times if I've been really rushing around too much and I feel that I'm hyped up. And I might do a lot more deep breathing at that point. If I'm already, you know, really kind of mellow because I've been sitting writing, I hardly need to do any deep breathing at all. I'm just really almost right there. So it will depend upon what you feel, and you'll get very in tune with what you need. Yes, sir? Good question. How do you stop yourself from falling asleep? If you were tired, you will tend to go off into a natural sleep. More often than not, as you get good at this, you will do what we call trip. It's not falling asleep, but you tune out to everything that's going on. And yet, on the count of 5, you'd be wide awake. Let's say you made your own tape, or you're responding to me. And I say, number 5, wide awake. And you just open your eyes, and then you don't remember a thing that's happened. In that case, you have not gone to sleep. You have tripped out. And it's something that really people who do much meditation will all come to face. So what you have to do is you have to do it earlier in the day when you're not tired. If I'm working with a group of people, and or if I'm looking for answers myself, say, I will take, and you might want to write this one down. You can take, if you want to be wide awake for several hours, take a couple of 400 IUs of vitamin E. Get the good vitamin E. Don't get the Del Alpha. Get D Alpha. Del Alpha is all artificial stuff. You don't want that. It's cheap and it's not any good. But 2 400 IUs of vitamin E and a couple tablespoons full of honey. Now what that does is the vitamin E will extend the oxygen in your blood, and the honey is a sugar, you know, the best kind of sugar you can take. And if when you do it, you take it, if you do, you know, run around the dining room table or do a little yoga or some calisthenics or some stretching, it will quickly pump it through your body. Walk around a little bit, and you'll be awake for about 4 hours. Now this one I learned from a nutritionist at Arizona State University. All the kids would come to him at test time and say, give me some speed. And he'd say, can't do it, but here's a trick, and it'll absolutely work. But if you just want to be wide awake for one session, say, and you don't want to bother, you don't want to stay awake that long and that alert, because this is really alert, believe me. Don't do it if you've been drinking the night before. For some reason, it works as a reverse, in reverse. And I thought that was a joke until I did it. He told me that. D alpha, just, yeah, D alpha, Del alpha, D, if it's spelled DL alpha, it's artificial. So the good hit is going to be with the real stuff. I sound like a drug guy. The good hit. will be. Yeah, 400 IUs. Yeah, and they're, just vitamin E capsules. They're good for you. And the honey's not bad for you unless you're really tending towards hypoglycemia. But the other way to get that the nutritionist would always advise the kids is niacinamide. Niacinamide is simply niacin that's been buffered. It's just B3. Can't hurt you. So it's available, I'm sure it's available over here in any health food store, vitamin store. Niacinamide is simply buffered niacin, but what happens, you've all probably taken niacin, you get that red flush and you get itchy and it's not fun. So you don't want to take niacin because what that does is it opens all the surface level blood vessels. But if you take niacinamide, it opens the deep level blood vessels and the ones here in the brain where we need all the activity we can get when we're pushing ourselves, wanting to stay awake, being tested. It takes about 20 minutes. So you want to take it about 20 minutes before you want to be wide awake, and it'll keep you wide awake for about up to half an hour. Yeah. It's just B3, but you don't want to just ask for B3. You want to ask for niacinamide because it's buffered niacin, and that's what they call it after they buffer it. Okay. Either of those things will keep you awake. Of course, exercise, chances are, and some things like that could be too. But you don't want to fall asleep because the subconscious mind is very, very quickly programmed by what you experience. So if you decide, all right, going into hypnosis and I fall asleep, the subconscious goes, oh, okay, hypnosis, sleep, and right away. So whatever you do, if you fall asleep, don't allow it to happen another time. Make yourself less comfortable. Don't do so much deep breathing. The deep breathing relaxes you maybe too much. Those are important things. And then if it's extreme, you can do these things. Change the time of day that you do it. Don't wait and do it late at night, or use it instead as sleep programming. Sleep programming is being used as you go into the same levels of mind. The only thing in sleep programming, you can't do the visualization you can as you're going down if you have a lot of self-discipline to stick to it. But the visualization, those mental movies, are the most powerful programming. And so that's the only difference between sleep programming and hypnosis. But at the end there, you just say, go and sleep, going off into a natural sleep. People always, I have people tell me that they do have trouble. But I will ask, like, when you read a book, what is your reaction to reading the book? Don't you kind of see in your mind what's happening? Okay. It's harder? Harder. I think with practice it'll get better. I've had people say, well, I can't read a book and see a picture of what I read, And in that case, I don't really have an answer. Yeah, there's other ways around it, and just focus on the other aspects of it. But if you can imagine yourself, get into the physical. When you're doing hypnosis, at first it's kind of stilted and it's tight. Let's say we're doing past life regression. I hope that everybody can see at least a fantasy-like visual or have a strong impression somehow. But the more you do it, the more you start to bring in the physical senses as well. Pretty soon, if you're out in the desert, you kind of smell the dryness, and you feel the sun on your body. In other words, it becomes more real as you do it. And so maybe for you, it's incorporating more of the kinesthetic aspects of what it would feel like if you wanted to lose weight. Obviously, you don't need to, but when you're imagining yourself standing on the scale and it's going back, boom, 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 oh, and it stops right where you want it. That feeling of, boy, that feels great, I've been wanting to get to that weight, and look, I got there. So you're tapping in more on the tactile, as you say. It'd be an ideal way to do it. Yeah. Yeah. Of going back and experience the death again? You should have been with me the other day. I killed everybody in the room. I had them all die. And go through the experience and look at it. But you guys were there. You went back through it. I'll say without pain and without emotion, on the count of 3, you're going to cross over into, or no, I guess before, it's without pain, without emotion. Now we're going to move to the last day of your life in this life we're now examining, this past life. And so I have people look at what's happened on that day, and then I take them over to the other side. And without a fail, everybody is, whew. No, you wouldn't die. No, no, you would not die. No, 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 no. No, there's all these scare stories out there. All these god-awful movies about hypnosis, you know. You're going home and you're going to stick your head in the fire. You know, come on. That's not going to happen. But there are a lot of people are very fearful of this because of some of those ideas. Presumably, well, yeah, but your survival instincts are going to kick in. Believe me, nobody's going to give you a suggestion to go home and stick your head in the fire and have you do it. It's just not going to. The unconscious, the subconscious, yes. Mm-hmm. That's what we're dealing with programming here. We want to get to it. We want to kind of just get out of the way of the conscious mind, which is always, the conscious mind doesn't accept it. It won't believe. We want to get through to here and just program. You're doing it on yourself itself. You could if you wanted to. I've done it that way before. You can do it by thinking it. You can do it by speaking it. You can do it by making a tape of it. Thinking it is just as good. It's just that a lot of people say, well, that's a lot of work. I got to keep remembering all this stuff, you know. So it's just up to you. But it becomes so automatic, you know, you don't even think about it because it's only 5 simple steps. So you remember them very quickly. Yeah. No, you don't have to phrase it the same way every time at all. You don't have to use words like I just used. You just think, oh, feet are going to sleep. Toesies are going to sleep. You know, it's just whatever you want to do. And even, you can even think boring. Oh, my feet are going to sleep. Like Eeyore, you know. Oh, my legs are going to sleep now. It's just... Oh, the suggestions? You could phrase them different every time. What I do when I'm trying, and I'll get into this when we talk a little bit about doing the suggestions, but I try to come up with, or I do come up with, always, when I'm creating a tape or a CD, I come up with from 9 to 12 of the very best suggestions I can come up with that cover what I desire from as many perspectives as I can. And so 9 to 12 will really do it. Yeah. Suggestions. But you don't have to phrase them the same way every time. If you're going to just think, it doesn't matter. No. But if you're going to make a tape of it, then try to work them out so that you really write it. Make sure they're positive. We'll talk about all that. Well, every day, in every way, I become healthier and healthier. I now eat only healthy foods and in smaller portions. My body is, my immune system is in full. You see, whatever I am working on, I'm trying to phrase all these suggestions to cover the spectrum. Yes. Yes, you will start to get results. Now, if you're starting working on something very heavy, it may take you longer. You may start to do this and find, my God, it's a miracle. 2 days later, you're starting to have an effect. It depends upon how deep a level subject you are, how well you respond to command. But when I say 2 weeks, I guarantee you that within 2 weeks, it starts to catch on. That doesn't mean you're necessarily going to solve it in 2 weeks. But that's when you'll start to feel, you'll start knowing you're really down there. Believe me, you will. And that's when the suggestions start to really click in. But some of you right now are in a very, when I watch you, I'm used to watching people's muscles relax. Some of you are just worried you're going to fall out of the chair. Now, most of the people that are that deep are the people that I can do a stage show with. I can say, now on the count of, or when you awaken, if I whispered in their ear, whenever you hear me say the word love, you're going to bark like a dog. I did that to a talk show once who was really messing with me. And she was a somnambulist, and she was being nasty. And I gave her that kind of a suggestion, and it worked. So, those people will take suggestions really, really well. So, let me do this for a minute before we take a break, and then we'll get right back into it. There's so many ways. This isn't just self-hypnosis. I want you to understand the altered state of consciousness. I want you to understand how it works. So let me play a sound. I'll only play it for about 5 minutes. But what this is it's an alpha and theta wave mixed. And it combines a delta pulse. Now, when I say, I want to point this out to be responsible. When I say you're going down into alpha, you're going down into theta, there is no such thing in your mind as your entire mind going down into alpha or theta. If there is a technique called neural mapping that the professionals use. And so when you're going down, I'm talking about going down into theta, what you're doing is that more aspects of your mind are going down into theta than normally would be down there, by far. But at the same time, there'll be another portion of your mind that's up here, another one that's here, one. It's all over the place. There's all different portions within your brain that are responding differently. So when we talk about going down into theta, there's just a much more theta activity going on in your brain. So the effect is, so to speak, going down into theta. Neural mapping, now they are finding out why someone is prone towards alcoholism, while someone is prone towards depression, and so on, because they can neural map the brain and find out just what's going on in each little segment of the brain. So I can say to you now that this will take you down into a theta level, and I'm being accurate when I say it. But it's just that if I measured you on very medical equipment, you would show more of that activity. But what I'd like you to do, and I want you to listen to the sound and try to focus upon nothing else but the sound. The sound, we're calling it a zapper, and it zaps you, believe me. Listen to it, try to block everything else out of your mind, and then just go with it. And then examine your body in relationship to what you just experienced a few minutes ago. So close your eyes now, and breathe deeply, and just let go. now we're letting go of this. Letting go. We're coming back. On the count of 5, you will open your eyes and be wide awake. Coming on up now. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5. Wide awake. Wide awake. Number 5. Wide awake. Now come on back, you guys. Everybody home? Yes, ma'am. Well, this is a result of a lot of experiments. My son has a recording studio in Hollywood, and so we work together a great deal with mind stuff, and he produces all the CDs. We don't know why this is working to the extent that it is. We've been experimenting a great deal because we know what happens if we run an alpha wave or a theta wave. We know those things. But what we're doing is you're getting waves of sound that are coming in right through here. But at the same time, you're getting this boom, 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 down here. Boom, 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 boom. It's hitting at 30 beats per minute, but it's a diminishing boom, 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 boom. And so for some reason, the combo is just taking people right out. I'm very involved with America's largest hypnosis organization. It's the American Board of Hypnotherapy. And I did this at the convention last year. I played it for the first time. And the convention went crazy because the hypnotists would come up and they said, "My God, you got me into REM state in 10 seconds. What the hell have you done?" And I don't know where this one came from. We have lots of these. But this one I channeled. I mean, it just one day came in and I started hearing it. And I work with this all the time, so I started hearing these waves in my mind, and I thought, boy, if we bring in the delta beat, something's going to happen. I think I was being sent. And then Jerry Crocker, the New Age musician, he was listening to it, and he said, "God, what if I took the beat and I just boom, 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 boom." And as a result, when we did it that way, we all agreed. I have all these friends, most of whom are in show business. They're writers or they're in the film business, and so I experiment on all of them. I give them all this advanced stuff, and then they tell me if they think it works, and then we expand the group. But I write with this on now. I've really gotten to the point where I can put that on and I write and I go into trance and I'm at the keyboard and I'm just channeling, boy, like you can't believe. Yes, ma'am. You wanted to dance? Well, that's all right. We got all that room. Before the break, let me play one other one to give you another example so this really comes home. This is called follow response when you have external sounds. Starting off with a very intense beat. If you slow down a beat from 850, just sort of a sound, and it slows down over like 6-7 minutes to 145 beats per minute. You could be anywhere listening to that sound, and if it started to slow down, they would take you into trance. Your mind will follow a slowing beat if it's in the cycle per second range. There's been all sorts of experiments with the hertz. Cycle per second is another way to say hertz range. And so when it slows down, your mind goes with it. And I swear it's the only way I could figure out under the guise of an air conditioner. We're sitting in the forum one day, 18,000 people, and I started to realize I'm in trance. It was I won't name the guy, but he was a very big, he's going for power, human potential guy. And he was trying to get people converted to his thing, involved in his projects. And I realized I'm deep in trance, and other people that I was with in this session, they said, "I'm in trance. What's going on?" And I couldn't hear a thing. And I realized that they had slowed down, maybe under the guise of one of the waves, or they'd brought the sound down slowly under the guise of the air conditioning system, which seemed to be awfully noisy to me. And this guy had 18,000 people in trance in the Forum in Los Angeles, California. So it's stuff to be always aware of, but you're going to learn about hypnosis. This is where to start, and there's a lot of interesting sidelines. So what I'd like to do here right now is I'm going to put on a sound. We just call this a hypnotic om. It's what Tara and I have been working with for years because we developed it several years ago. If you've been in any of the sessions we've done here over the last 5 to 6, 7 years, this is what was on in the background, because not only are you responding to my voice taking you down, but it's got that clicking sound behind it. And the clicking sound is dropping from here right to here. And so your brain automatically is pulled along with it. So this will take about 6 minutes is all. But I think it'll be a very graphic demonstration. Some of you have heard it way too much with me. But close your eyes again and listen to this. And now as the sound slows down, I want you to really get in touch with what's happening in your body. I mean, really tune in once it's really slowed down, and just see if you can tell, just based upon the experiences you've already had, what's happening. You'll get to the point where you're very good at this. So close your eyes. And again, just close your eyes and breathe deeply. And the Om is just soothing to everyone, of course. Get in touch with your body. Notice how your body feels. So relaxed and so at ease. But it's time to come on back now. On the count of 5, you will open your eyes and be wide awake, fully alert, thinking and acting with calm and self-assurance, and feeling glad to be alive, feeling at peace with yourself, the world, and everyone in it. Now you'll be wide awake, ready to learn, ready to absorb these self-hypnosis techniques. You're coming on up now. Open your eyes, wide awake on the count of 5. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wide awake, wide awake. Open your eyes and feel good. Okay. Now you all really look stoned. I say that all the time, but it just always hits me when I see everybody looking at me like... All right. Any questions or comments about this? And realizing what's been just going on with your mind, you know, and what's happening. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, this will take you into levels of meditation that it used to take years of training to get to. I hate to say it, but it's modern technology. Okay? Okay. Gone. So this is, you don't need this for self-hypnosis. These are nice, they're electronic things, they're very powerful, but what you need is, all you need to do is what we just did without any of the music or anything else. And you want to be able to do it both ways. It's great to have some of the tricks if it's appropriate for you, but what's important is to learn to do it without. But this, I think, makes a very clear demonstration because everybody can feel it. Yeah. Yeah. Right at the point where it's really just gotten down to where, see, those fade out, I think, on, I don't know what we did on the tape, the CD, but they fade out pretty soon, and because you're there, you're really down low. And at that point, when they've reached that 145 beats, if you're still with it, then you're going to do the most powerful programming of all at that point, yeah. She's saying that she found herself rebirthing when she reached the level with listening to the zapper. You felt like you were rebirthing? Yeah. Well, it's taking you into an altered state of consciousness. When you start to explore in an altered state, you are opening to the stuff. All your memories are there. You see, what you've done, just think in terms of, you've got a big old memory bank here, and you just took the filter off so that you can get to it. Well, it can be frightening. But at the same time, it's freeing when you come to understand how powerful it can be to allow stuff to come up and to understand it, you know. You came out. Okay. If you're getting something scary, you can always bring yourself out. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wide awake. Bring yourself out. If you're feeling something fearful and you need professional guidance, then I would proceed that way. You're just going down under the water? At least be like Moses and part the waves, you know. Yeah. There's stuff going on in here. Believe me, there's stuff going on in here when you start to explore with this. But remember, what am I doing? I'm opening up, I'm remembering other parts of my life or of past lives. I've opened to the totality. Now, if that's fearful, if you start to experience a fearful situation, then, but for some people it will be. I had a woman that every time she'd go into an altered state, she'd start to go back to a past life, rape, murder, is what we came to finally feel it was all about, and I couldn't take her close to it. I worked with a psychic to find out what it was really all about, and Everybody seemed to agree that that was the case. So there's some things you want to delve into, some you don't. Some people have a lot of stuff right under the surface. Most people are going to respond, though, like, cool. This is getting stoned without, you know. To see what would happen. You just go. It's got 74 minutes. You just go with it and find out where it takes you, saying that I can handle anything and I will awaken if I feel uncomfortable on the count of 5. You're always in control in an altered state. And if I were running the situation, this is a training session, I'm just running little short snippets. But in those of you who have been with me before, you know that I always say, now if you feel uncomfortable in any way, count yourself up from 1 to 5 and awaken. So I always build a self-release into anything I record or anything I do in person where it's other than right here where we're doing a little snippet. So you got close just in that little bit of time. So you could go through it and you could experience it, or you could say, I don't want to do this without guidance. But the worst that's going to happen is you're going to have a shitty experience. Excuse my language, but that's it. And that means there's something in here that you should know more about. Be quite frank, because if it comes up, it's affecting you. It may be past life. I did this once where I first was experimenting in theta, where I said I had to use an alarm clock because I couldn't keep from falling over the edge. And I got into this catacomb-type situation. It was very clear, very vivid. And every time I started to get sick in my stomach. And it took a lot of playing until I found out that some god-awful stuff had happened down there, and I had to look at it because it was still influencing my life. But that was just playing with myself and having the physical experience of, and usually you don't have a physical experience like that. That's very rare. But I literally couldn't stay there because... Yes, sir. Yeah, I think it's medical doctors, you know, the brain-mind people that are using that. Let's see, there's some books out on some of the body electric and this mind programming. And I can find out if you want to give me a notice to which book. I'd be glad to get it, and I'll email it back to you. You know, I always go home with my pocket stuffed full of notes, and then I get back to people in the first couple of days. Yes, ma'am. Then the other one that I just did, oh yeah, it's probably knocks people out faster because the other one takes like 6-7 minutes, where this one is almost instantaneous. But we've got all sorts of different things that we do. You know, I don't know what I brought. I don't have. We got an enhancer, which is one that I've got a lot of friends exploring, and we're offering it at home. And it's with your eyes open to work. And you never, like Tara says, she never accomplished so much in her whole life. If I come in and she's listening to the enhancer, I just leave because it's not a good time. She's just so focused and she's doing things. So we're experimenting with a lot of it now. And if you go out to our website, which is just my name, you know, www.dicksutphen.com, there's a whole thing on mind electronics, and I get into, you know, this is not appropriate to go into it in real depth, but... Well, don't... If you go into... say transcendental meditation is a good example. They tell you to meditate 40 minutes in the morning, 40 minutes at night. 20? I've got friends that said 40. Anyway, you won't come back if you go that far. Did you do it 20 morning, 20 night? Mm-hmm. I don't think that's enough, but you won't come back to full beta consciousness. And the same thing, if you lose the zapper, you know, all day, you used it... I may not be here. You may think I'm here, but I'm really not. No, you will not, runners don't come back. If you were to take and hook a runner up to an EEG machine, and he's wide awake, and he's talking to you, and he's rattling on 90 mile an hour, he's probably going to be in here. The machine's going to show that's where he is. I write hours and hours a day. Now, I've been here in England. I haven't been writing. I've been running around, so maybe I've kind of inched back up. But normally, this is my range of exploring right in here. I don't really come back. So I remain pretty mellow. Runners are the mellowest people on the earth, if you know many of them, because there's such a release of beta endorphins and the other brain-mind opiates. I should point that out. When you go into an altered state of consciousness, when you do self-hypnosis, your brain releases these endorphins, which are, they're almost identical to opium, but it's a positive addiction. Dr. William Glasser has written a whole book on that, how runners, it's such a positive addiction, but it becomes like an addiction because, and it mellows you out. So if you were to use 40 minutes of the zapper in the morning, 40 minutes at night, chances are I don't think you'll return to full beta consciousness either. It's nice down here. You can come join me if you want. But the more you do altered state work, people who meditate a lot, they don't return. No, it's not that bad. It's kind of mellow, you know. You just, you know, no, you do. You take life a lot. Oh. I don't think Tara'd like me if I was back in full beta very much all the time. I think she'd say, listen to the zapper, Richard. Go meditate, Richard. Let's take a break. We're way over where I wanted to take a break for you. So let's take about 15 minutes here. Let everybody stretch and wake up. If you're not fully awake, true unless it isn't, you know. I don't know. The Kundalini would be, you know, the intense energy there, and you may be just starting to awaken the sleeping giant. Why? I don't know. Yeah, more research. Oh, there's so much research to be done. Well, when you're in trance, you often have the eye REM. That's one of the quickest way I can tell if you're deep down inside. If I notice that your eyes are REMing, why, you will be deep into trance. You're capable of really seeing the visions at that point, and high percentage of people will experience the eye REM in trance. So don't be surprised if all of a sudden you feel the twitching. And oftentimes in an altered state of consciousness, people will. Some people feel cold. You're talking about the different kinds of responses. Other people will begin to feel overly warm and start to sweat. And yeah, well, when you want to scratch your nose, that's the subconscious mind is not so sure about you doing this, and it creates physical distractions. And subconscious not necessarily your friend. It's probably a little nervous about it. Yeah, when you get in the altered state, and it's a nervous reaction. So what I would tell you to do, and this is good, anyone else that has any type, you know, your ear itches, your nose itches, your back starts to hurt. Whatever you need to do, just go ahead and deal with it. Reach up, scratch your nose, scratch your ear, and then just tell yourself, hands going back to sleep. Back to sleep. My hand now goes completely to sleep. And override it. And pretty soon, it'll decide this is not so scary after all. But it's subconscious reactions that I need to do this. Yeah. You're just thinking about it. It's causing you to... Yes. No, it's not hemisync. No. This is straight theta wave. We're not doing. You know, that's another thing you can do. There's a lot of people, the Monroe people, and other people are doing that. No, we just tended to go straight with it, and we took the theta waves and the alpha waves and built them on top of each other and added that. Boom, 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 boom. And the other is valuable too. There's just so many different ways. We have some where we've explored that. While everybody's still up and standing here for a minute, I realize that on the other half of this is the zapper. This is one we call the enhancer sound. Now, this is designed to keep your eyes. I don't have this with me, but this one is designed for your eyes open. Now, a friend of mine, Richard Christian Matheson, is a screenwriter. He's written a lot of films you've seen, I'm sure. And he says he's addicted to this. He uses this on in the background all the time now while he writes his scripts. Now, you think it would drive you crazy, but it kind of disappears pretty soon. But this is when I said, if Tara's got this on in her office, I just turn around and leave, because I know she's really intense on the work she's doing. This will cause time to disappear. Excuse me? Oh, no, this is just the way I recorded them on the tape. I thought, well, I don't have the enhancer with me, and then I realized, oh, it's on the B side. But these are just recordings I made to come here and to demonstrate this. I never know if they're going to have a tape player or a CD player or what, so I just come prepared. We don't have the enhancer back there. I think we have some zappers. I don't know if we do now or not, but we have those. But you can get it from us. Just go to the website, and there's no shipping. Anybody wants to, I don't mean to do an ad while we're up here, but if you order anything from the website, then just tell them that you're here at this, and then till August 1, why there's no shipping charges on anything there. And we've got like 350 programs out there. If you explore, it's more website than you ever wanted to know about. We have a healing zapper now. We have one that's just on marketing. I mean, we've recorded a whole line because people have responded to them so positive. It's a line that just grew up all by itself because everybody said, God, make one on this, make one on healing, make one on weight loss, make one on... So we've got them on all sorts of things. On what? RV? No? No? See? More ideas. More ideas. No, there's a lot of things that we've still got to do. I keep coming up. I got 14 new releases coming out this month that are not out yet. So we found ways to be able to release a lot of things, but, you know, to be able to sell them in small quantities. So that's what we're doing right now. Off the website, they're just, I think they're $16 American, so I don't know what that is here. You can just do it with a credit card. We'll take credit cards. Do it by mail or do it. We're going to have it on the site pretty soon. We can just order and it'll convert everything, but we're not quite there yet. We're probably about a month. We ship them to Turkey. We ship them all the time from places that I go, I don't think that's a country. And then we'll look it up, and sure enough, it is. I'm getting a geography lesson here because the web brings in people from all over, which is kind of neat, you know, when you get an order from some place you've never really, but you don't even think it's there. And then it'll be in the postage scale. So, questions on anything we're doing here thus far? I want to get back to serious business here now in just a minute. This is fun. Okay, let's go. Let's do it. Let me point this out. I think this is good so you really fully understand, again, how this works and where the value comes in. There are some basic classic tests that have been done to show a lot of things. The University of Chicago got involved in them, many years ago now. But it's sort of, the tests that were done there set the pathway for a lot of the work like mine that came along afterwards. They did a lot of reality fantasy tests where they'd hook people up to brain-mind equipment. And as one example, they would have people hooked up to the EEG machines where it's registering the response. And they'd have somebody, now they're hooked to the machine, they're sitting here, and now somebody runs into the room and fires a gun and then runs out. And then a woman comes in and dances around, does some pirouettes, dances around and goes out of the room. And a dog runs in and barks and runs out of the room. Now, they had these experiences. They're sitting there, wired to the machine. They're watching the experience. The machine over here is making responses. It's creating patterns on the graph paper. So now, afterwards, they have these people say, all right, I want you to imagine a man coming into the room and firing a gun. Close your eyes and imagine it. And so now the machine is continuing to make the marks. Imagine a ballerina coming into the room, dancing around, running out. Making marks over here in the machine. Dog barking. The marks for the imagined event were absolutely identical to the real event. And this is where they started to realize mind is not telling any difference between fantasy and reality. The way it's registering and going into this memory bank, this data bank, this computer that we have up here, the mind is not telling the difference between fantasy and reality. So what that led to was a lot of new tests that they did. And one of the classics that I usually use when I'm explaining the test to people was at the University of Chicago. It was done with a lot of people. It was an extensive test where they broke students down into 3 categories. And this was done with male students. And they were going to shoot baskets in the gym. They would shoot baskets. So what they did is they had everybody test their basket shooting ability. They brought them into the gym, and this group now all lined up, and they all shot the baskets, and they did extensive basket shooting, so they wrote down how good they were. Another group came in, they did the same thing. Another group, the same thing. Then afterwards, what they said to the group was, group number 1, you are to do nothing at all this month. You're participating in the test. We're going to pay you. But don't even think about basketball. No basketball. Leave that out of your schedule. No way, shape, or form. Now, group number 2 was told, you are to shoot baskets a half hour a day. You are to practice in the gym. And so they did. They practiced basket shooting for a half hour a day, every day for a month. The third group was to sit down and imagine themselves, alter consciousness a little, sit there and imagine themselves shooting baskets. Only imagine it perfect. Half hour a day. Team 2, they were practicing a half hour a day. So after 1 full month, they tested them again. Now, the first group that was doing nothing, they tested exactly the same as they did before. Group 2 that practiced a half hour a day was 24% better in their basket shooting ability. The third group that practiced only in their mind, visualizing perfect baskets, was 23% improved. 1% off actual practice. So that's pretty impressive. Now, that's just one of dozens and dozens of tests of this kind that were done. But obviously, you know, hypnosis cannot replace training and practice in sports that require a high level of skill, fitness, so on. But it's a good way to make a point to the programming ability of your mind. By just imagining it as if it were so, it became so. And the subconscious, again, is a picture consciousness. So what you want to do in creating these movies is just make them real. Realize you're the producer, the director, the star. It's all your creation. And just make them really, really real. This way, your subconscious comprehends the goal. It seems to be a little dense, but once it gets it, the power clicks in. So it needs to comprehend the goal. And so what you're doing is it can't tell the difference between fantasy and reality with you. 1%. Well, we're going to have to live with that 1%. So that's the idea. So in your mind, you're manipulating the circumstances. And you want to develop several different mental movies. I gave an example the other day of the weight loss one. Let's say you want to lose weight. So weight loss example number 1, you're climbing on the scale and you're watching the needle go back and forth and it lands just right where you want it to be. And you're excited. Now you build in the excitement. Whoa, it feels good. If you got a mate, you run down the hall and you tell him or her, you say, oh, I did it. I've accomplished my goal. I lost the weight. And you get their reaction. You see their facial reaction. You hear what they say in response. Complete little mental movie. Do it in 60 to 90 seconds. Okay, now another one. You're going to get bored with just the same one every day, and you want to make sure you're really communicating to your subconscious mind. So the next one is going to be you're out shopping, and let's just say you're a female, you go into a dress store, and you've been trying to get to size 8. So you go in and you tell the clerk, and you make this mental movie real. The store, maybe you know. You say to the clerk, I want a size 8 in this dress. And you get it, you try it on, it fits perfect. And say the clerk in the store is complimenting you. Wow, it's a perfect fit. You look beautiful in the dress. Making it real. And you feel the pride, and you see yourself in the mirror as you're trying it on. It's fitting perfect. Now, maybe you're size 10 when you're doing this, but the subconscious mind now is going to try to get you down to that size 8. So now another one. Maybe you're out shopping, and you run into a friend that you haven't seen for a long time, and your friend says, my God, how much weight have you lost? You look great. And you go through the whole exchange with your friend, complimenting you on how good you look. And you say, well, I've been dieting a lot, but I've finally reached size 6, whatever it is you want. And it feels good, and you make it real. So you create these little scenarios. And it is the most powerful part of the programming. Now, you've got to be halfway realistic in your goals. I was just telling somebody up here at the break we had a man write back. He decided to do these things, and he said, I've been doing it for 2 weeks. His suggestions were he wanted to grow a whole new set of teeth. He wanted to basically change his entire body. And he says, I've been doing it for 2 weeks and nothing's happened. So anyway, you got to be halfway realistic about what you ask for. But with that in mind, you know, you don't want to worry about it. You don't want to overanalyze it. You just do it. One of the things that the Pritigen information really stressed was it doesn't matter if you think it's going to work or not. If you do it, that's what counts. It'll work. Maybe you don't believe it'll work. Just do it, and it will work. It's going to help if you think positive about it, but don't worry. Don't doubt. It doesn't. Just do it. So you need to decide on your goal, and you need to write it out clearly. And you need to be able to boil that goal down to one well-worded sentence. I want to write the goal as suggestions. Now, I mentioned this before, 9 to 12 suggestions, somewhere in that area. You listen to my tapes, they all have 9 to 12, with some rare exceptions. 9 to 12 suggestions on that are repeated again and again and again. Now, they express your desire in different ways. And if you're going to do it just as self-hypnosis, that you lie down and do all on your own, or sit down and do all on your own, then you're going to need to basically memorize, or to the point where you can at least paraphrase the suggestions. Yeah, that doesn't take that much time. That's not that much to do. You state your goal as if it were already accomplished. Now, let's just say if your goal were money. Let me give you a few examples if you wanted to make more money. I have the power and ability to make money. Just basically, I do. I have the power and ability, and of course you do. I make great sums of money. As if it were already accomplished. You're not making great sums of money, but that's what you're communicating to your mind. From this moment on, I create my own reality, and I constantly find new ways to make money. Making money is a good thing, and I am a money maker. Sometimes people have real blocks to making money. On some level, they think it's not a good thing. Let me just stress this, because I think this is very important. I would like you to finish a sentence in your mind. Now, don't think about it. Just instantly finish this sentence. I'll start it, and then you instantly add the last words to it in your mind, okay? I think really rich people are... How did you finish that sentence in your mind? Come on, give me some feedback here. Are what? Lucky. That doesn't work very well. Greedy. Ooh. How many people kind of came up with an A? They're either greedy or they're, something along that line. Let me see a show of hands. Be straight. Put up your hand. The majority of the room. You cannot become what you resent. If you think that rich people are greedy, I have somebody in here wanted, they said they stole the money. Oh, Jesus. You're not going to allow yourself to have the money because you think, well, if I allow myself to have money, I'm going to be greedy. And see, you won't let yourself do it. Now, that's overly simplistic, but there's belief in action. You see why we have to change our beliefs? Because if you believe this, you will not allow it to happen. You will allow yourself to just get so successful in life, and that's it. You won't go beyond that level of success. So these beliefs need to be challenged, and they need to be overridden, and they need to be reprogrammed. So when people really want to change, I stress we start with beliefs. You can't change what you resent. That's another thing to look at. These are important factors that we don't ever examine. Your beliefs are not hidden. All you'd have to do is ask yourself, start a sentence like that and see how you'd finish it on any aspect of life. And you come to realize, whoa, I've accepted some programming along the way here. It's certainly not serving me. So it's old beliefs that we're reprogramming with self-hypnosis. And so when I say something like, making money is a good thing and I'm a moneymaker, I'm reprogramming that idea that rich people are greedy, because you will never allow yourself to have money if you have any of that programming. And some of you said things like lucky. But if you don't have the money, obviously you're not lucky, so you've canceled yourself out. They're lucky, but I'm not. So it's important when you're creating the suggestions to look at your current belief structure to the extent that you can. It can be hard to do this, to get in, but that's one way, is you start a sentence and you finish it. Be straight with yourself. The human potential movement is basically about asking ourselves the right questions, about being straight and seeing what's going on with us in here, even though what's going on may be a little bit painful when we get close to it, but you cannot change what you don't recognize. This is very, very important. So you need to recognize what is going on with you and then take the steps to change it. You can't change what you don't recognize. Very, very important to all of this. So you may want to include that sort of a suggestion depending upon what it is you seek to program. Here's another one. Monetary security is my reality. As if it were already accomplished. And, you don't need to write these down unless you want to. You can go to my website and you got 10,000 suggestions. So, because, we don't give all the suggestions on each tape or CD, but we give a lot of example ones. So you can go by something like that. It's very easy. Or the catalog, if you got one of those. Anybody wants a catalog, we couldn't bring them because they're too heavy, but we'd be glad to send you one. Just give us the information before you leave. Just give Terry your name and address. Every day, in every way, I become more successful. There's a lot of good. Every day, in every way. It's a great coverage. You can use that in most. So create these suggestions. Each sentence should be the best that you can create, and then you're going to repeat them. I like to repeat them at least twice in a session, ideally maybe 3 times. If you listen to my tapes, you'll see they are directly phrased twice, and usually they're repeated in like the general copy that I'm feeding between the techniques. I will kind of phrase them and clump them all together. So you really are usually getting, on any of my programming, you're getting the basic suggestions 3 times. And then, of course, you're going to want to you want to create the mental movie. Now, let's just say a mental movie on money, just for example. Maybe you've got it's a savings book, and you're looking at your savings book, or better yet, probably be a report from a stockbroker, and you're seeing that you've got not tech stocks, all the good stocks, and you're looking at the total there at the bottom, and you're seeing, boy, you see this large figure posted at the bottom, and it makes you feel good. And you look up at the top of the certificate, and there's your name across the top. Sounds silly, sounds ultra simplistic. That's how it works. Think of the computer commands you have on your computer. Everybody in here just about is working on a computer. Simple commands to get from here to there once you know them. It's the same thing with this. It's simple stuff. You just do it over and over and over. It starts to become effective. Your subconscious will understand and will support your quest. Everybody in here is familiar with Pavlov's dogs being programmed to salivate at the sound of a dinner bell. So you have the ability, quite literally, to program yourself to this extent. I realize that's certainly not your goal, but I hope it makes the point. The dogs were not unique in that they could be programmed in that way. I don't have time to go into some of the programs, especially the Russian, some of the brainwashing programming techniques that have been used, but boy, they take it about 100 times beyond that. There at Stonehenge, I could not say to her, your stomach ache is going away, because the word stomach ache is a negative, and I'd have probably programmed a worse stomach ache because I'm saying stomach ache's going away. So I have to say your stomach is feeling better and better and better. And in a few moments you'll awaken and your stomach will feel so good. When we looked at this, I should add this now, but when we look at it, I think that there was something more going on, because under the circumstances and all the people out there, Tara probably would never have gone into trance and tried to pick up on anything there. But what happened is, after, I didn't want to just give her the suggestion and instantly bring her back up, so I said, and this was just because, you know, I'm giving her a little time down there, and I said, all right, I want you now to pick up on the energy of Stonehenge, pick up on any entities that are here that you feel good about communicating with, so on and so on. And I gave her like 5 minutes was all. And then I gave her the suggestions again, and I rubbed her stomach, and I said, your stomach feels better and better now, and on the count of 5, you'll awaken, da-da-da-da. Well, she had some incredible psychic experiences with the guardians, quotes, at Stonehenge. And it probably would not have happened. She would never have gone into that if it had not been for this situation. So we may have had a little help from over there in creating the stomach problems, is what it may have come down to, but it was very effective in creating the result that was desired. So anyway, you don't want to, you know, if you have a headache, you don't want to say the headache's going away. I will awaken and my head will feel better and better. My head will feel as good as it's ever felt. It's going to feel great when I awaken on the count of 5. Da-da-da-da-da-da. My head will feel clear, down, on and on and on. Okay, I'd like you, I'm assuming everybody's got a little paper and pencil there. I would like you to write out your goal. Now, some of you are in an altered state of consciousness, and you said, I was hit with it, and too many things were coming at me at once. But write down now the primary goal you think you'd like to work on. Doesn't mean you can't change it later. Define your goal in one sentence, if you will. And then write a few suggestions. I'm just going to give you like 6-7 minutes on this to do this. But I'd like you to do it because it'll help now as we move forward. It'll give you something to work with as you begin to induce the trance yourself. Written a few suggestions. Now, what I thought I'd do is, you have a little bit to remember here. I thought I'll do the first part again to help as a model to set it into your mind. I will do the body relaxation and I'll do the countdown. Then I'll give you just a few minutes, 6-7 minutes, to, number one, give yourself the suggestion, phrased I, phrased ideally, you know, because you're clear about what you want now. Clarity of intent is critically important here. I've been working with people, for, like I say, about 25 years. The primary reason that people are not as happy and as successful as they want to be is because they lack clarity of intent. They don't know what they want with no indecisiveness whatsoever. So if you can do this, if you can define a goal and be clear about what you want. One goal first, then another. But you are so far ahead of the game. If you can sit here and actually write out what you want, one step at a time, okay, but do it, and that's half the battle, I swear. So I'm going now to induce the alter state, just as I did before. Then I'll give you just a few minutes. You will give yourself the suggestions. Then you will perceive the mental movie. A mental movie to go with this, very, very clearly. Then give yourself the suggestions again. And then count yourself up. And after a few minutes, if everyone has not come up, I will go ahead and I will count you up. But after you've completed the process, count yourself up, tell yourself, I'm going to awaken on the count of 5. I'm going to feel good. I'll be wide awake. I'll be ready to absorb the information. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And just count yourself wide awake and open your eyes. So it's a simple process. When you do it, the next time you do it yourself, on counting yourself down and so on. But let's put your feet flat on the floor. Remember basically what you've written. Don't worry about phrasing it exactly right. You at least have created the clarity now to put it to paper, so you can come up with it again in your mind in the process. So let's just breathe deeply. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply and relax completely. And allow the quietness of spirit to begin to come in. And again, when I begin the relaxation and the countdown, I will phrase it I. So just imagine that it's your own inner voice directing the process. And I now imagine the relaxing power coming into the toes of both of my feet at the same time. It's moving right on down into the ball, into my arches, into my heel, and right on up to my ankle. Completely relaxed, completely relaxed. And I now feel the relaxing sensations move on up my legs to the knees, relaxing all the muscles as it goes. And on up my legs now to my thighs and to my hips, permeating every cell and every atom. And I'm relaxing completely, keeping my full attention now on relaxing my body. As the relaxing power moves on down into the fingers of both of my hands, relaxing my hands. And the relaxing sensations move on up into my forearm and on up into my upper arm. And my fingers and hands and forearms and upper arms. And now just completely relax. And the relaxing sensations now move on down into the base of my spine. And I feel the warmth in the base of my spine. And I feel it now moving slowly up my spine, up my spine, up my spine, and into the back of my neck and shoulder muscles. And the back of my neck and shoulder muscles are now loose and limp, loose and limp. Just completely relaxed. Completely relaxed. And the relaxing sensations now move on up the back of my neck and into my scalp. And they drain down into my facial muscles, relaxing my facial muscles. Now my jaw is relaxed. I allow a little space between my teeth. And my throat is relaxed. And my entire body is now relaxed all over in every way. And all tension is gone from my body and mind. All tension is gone from my body and mind. As I now begin to go down, down, down. Number 7, deeper, 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 down, down, down. Number 6, deeper, 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 down, down, down. Number 5, deeper, 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 down, down, down. Number 4, deeper, 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 down, down, down. Number 3, deeper, 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 down, down, down. Number 2, deeper, 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 down, down, down. Number 1. And I now feel deep, so relaxed and so at ease. But let's go down a little deeper now. Number 7, deeper, 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 down, down, down. Number 6, deeper, 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 down, down, down. Number 5, deeper, 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 down, down, down. Number 4, deeper, 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 down, down, down. Number 3, deeper, 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 down, down, down. Number 2, deeper, 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 down, down, down. Number 1. Okay, let's come on back up now if you haven't already. So on the count of 5, you're going to open your eyes and be wide awake, fully alert, thinking and acting with calm self-assurance. So let's come on back up now. Coming up at peace with all life. Number 1, you're coming on up. Number 2, coming up a little more. Number 3, coming on up, sensing an internal balance and harmony. Number 4, recall the situation in the room. And number 5, wide awake, wide awake. Welcome back. I don't know, from up here it looked good. Looked like you really went down. I'm trying to keep it simple. I'm going to add a little bit more to the techniques, but one of the things I like to do that I'd add to it right now is that between, you do the deep breathing, you relax your body. Now, I like to add white light in there. That's up to you. It's a metaphysical protection technique, but when you're in the altered state of consciousness, you are more open. Now, you have a vibrational rate that you earned in the past, and that rate is the result of how you've lived your life. Today, it's a result of how you've lived your life up until this point in time. I doubt many of you have to be much concerned about, having a low vibrational rate. You can lower your rate through excessive drugs, alcohol use, extreme negativity. There's certainly ways to do it, but most people involved in metaphysical thinking and somebody that wanted to be at a festival like this, I think you're probably doing pretty well on your vibrational rate. But I still like to put white light around myself or around the people. So the way I'll do that is I just imagine at this point, after the body relaxing, I imagine a beam of white light coming down from above, just thin beam of shimmering, iridescent, bright white God light. And so I imagine it coming down, entering my crown chakra, and then I just feel the light flow through my body and then begin to concentrate around my heart area. And then I imagine, I'm saying it in my mind with words, I'll say basically, and the light now concentrates around my heart area. And it emerges from my heart area to totally surround my body in a protective aura of bright white God light. And then I imagine myself literally being cocooned in white light. It's just a vivid imagination of the light coming around me. And I will say, I am totally protected, totally protected. Only my own guides and masters are highly evolved and loving entities who mean me well will be able to influence me in any way during this altered state of consciousness session. That's just my little ritual. You can do it any way you want. Some of you might have be more oriented to a Christ consciousness or more to a Buddha consciousness. So just you can adapt it. But the thing is to imagine yourself in white light and then count down. So it's adding one more element there. But I think it's a good thing to do. Okay, now up till now you've been hearing my way of doing this, how I have you go down and so on. I thought for a little break in here is that, and Tara and I am putting this together because this is not something we normally teach or do. This was special for this festival, which has been great fun. I'm probably going to do it more now. But I thought I'd ask Tara to come up and do one of her sessions to see. Several people at the break said, well, gee, I go down with you if I didn't there. And like the other day, a girl in the audience didn't go down with me at all, but she said, my God, Tara just knocked her over. She went down so deep. And what I want you to see here, she's going to run a process for you so you can have a nifty experience. So she'll do one of her meditations. But what this is showing is that you don't even need a formal induction if you just pace your voice. Because you'll realize you're going to go just as deep with Tara now as you did with me. Maybe deeper, maybe a lot deeper. And so she's going to do just a beautiful little meditation called Angels of Light. And so you're doing it on two levels now. You're monitoring it as somebody who's learning hypnosis at the same time you're having the experience, so it's twofold. the value here is in really to imagine everything that she's talking about to the full extent of your ability. Just vividly imagine the things that she's saying. So anyway, my wife is an incredible psychic. She's esoteric astrologer like none other, I guarantee you. She writes magazine articles. She does a column where it's on the web, it's in the magazine, so it's really incredible as far as direct writing from people on the other side. And she's my best buddy in the whole wide world, and you're not going to let me keep bragging on you, are you? You're just going to come up and take the microphone away from me. I can feel it coming.
Out of your hands. Thank you. Before we get started, does anybody want to ask me any questions about how I go into self-hypnosis? Any sort of different techniques or anything? I do a little bit different. I go off a diving board in space. And then I try to really take myself away from the earth plane. I usually just go off a diving board and visualize the stars kind of going past me and just go away from my body as far away as I can get. Yeah, and then usually, like when I'm doing automatic writing, at first I feel like go through the lower astral plane. There's a gray area where I try to go through as fast as I can. And then I feel my stairs. I actually try to make sure that all my 5 senses are there. And so I feel my stairs before me, and they're kind of a real dark, charcoal, well-worn stone stairs. And then I feel myself start walking up the stairs. And then my guide is at the doorway of my temple room, and then I go through the temple. And then if I want to do like automatic writing on all of you guys, say, I take your guardian or someone who loves you very much and will know the information about you, because my guide will not know about your life, so that's how I try to tap in. And usually I won't take any email letters for the column because of the fact I can't have that touchstone. See, if you've touched the letter, if you've touched the paper and used a pen, at least even if you've been typing it, if you've touched it, hopefully I'm not getting the mailman or the 5 people that have touched it in the mail or something, but I'm trying to get you at that point, your essence. So so I do it a little bit different than Richard does. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. And another thing that I do that I think is good for everybody when you're doing self-hypnosis is I always use a touchstone of some kind, like a person or amulet, a talisman, to where as you come back and you focus on that so that you don't trip all over the place. It can just be a crystal, but you come back and you look at the crystal. Yeah, but it's real far away. She has actually really given me a good example is my son was driving a few years ago, and it was a really bad storm on a California freeway. We were going to an emergency anyway. My father was in a hospital in ICU up in Northern California. So he was driving, and in the back seat, we were listening to the Beatles, my brothers, and we were all singing at the top of our lungs in this rain, and all of a sudden I could hear her voice saying to me, "Make William go to the side of the road." And he just thought I was nuts. I just said, "Willie, you have to just go off the next off-ramp. Go up there." And so we did, and he was kind of mad at me, like, "Do you want me to stop driving?" And I was like, no, just let's wait here about 10 minutes or something. But, Benda was real clear to me that we needed to stop. And when we came back off the off-ramp, there was a semi clear across the freeway. So, you listen. When you do have this ability, you listen. But, it's not all the time that she talks to me, but that one was really an emergency. So I heard just her voice over this loud music. Anything else? Should we start? Okay, close your eyes. Make yourself perfectly comfortable. I can see you guys now. Just completely relax. Breathe deeply and relax completely. Breathe through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Very deeply, very, very deeply. And feel calm and peaceful, relaxed and at ease. Calm and peaceful, relaxed and at ease. Breathe deeply and relax completely. Breathe through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Very deeply, very, very deeply. And feel calm and peaceful, relaxed and at ease. Calm and peaceful, relaxed and at ease. Breathe deeply and relax completely. Breathe through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Very deeply, very, very deeply. And feel calm and peaceful, relaxed and at ease. Calm and peaceful, relaxed and at ease. And you're alone outside, standing upon a moonlit mountain, and it feels good to be here. Sense a cool breeze on your skin as you look up at the blanket of stars and listen to the sounds of the night. Perceive this very, very vividly. You're surrounded by giant pines, ash and oak trees that are illuminated by the full moon. Breathe deeply the aroma of nature, the pines, the hint of wild sage. You're relaxed and at ease here on the mountain because a part of you is always here, always in touch with your karmic roots, always aligned with nature and drawing upon this subtle energy. Be in the environment. And it feels so good to be here looking up at the stars and enjoying the night. It's now time to draw down the universal energy of the stars. So imagine yourself drawing down the light, drawing down the energy of the stars, the positive power of the universe. Perceive this energy in the form of an illumination that enters your crown chakra on the top of your head. Draw down the energy and allow it to become your reality. The universal energy of the stars. Draw down the light, the positive powers of the universe, the God light, the starlight, the love light. Let it happen. Let it be. Draw down the universal energy of the stars, the light of the universe. Offer thanks for all you have and all that you may become. And you sense that you are filled with light and energy and power. From this moment on, you are a channel for the light. And as if in response to your thoughts, a magnificent white horse trots out of the trees and stops about 20 yards away. The animal's coat appears to shimmer and glow in the moonlight. You raise your arms to beckon him closer. He tosses his head, whinnies, trots right up to you and lowers his head. You stroke the soft hair on his face and look into his deep brown eyes, which reflect the moonlight. He has a long, coarse mane, soft hair on his neck, powerful shoulders. And you're stroking the horse's back as he steps away, walking several yards before stopping, looking back at you and tossing his head. You understand that he wants you to follow. And as he moves away down the trail, you fall in step behind him, moving deeper and deeper into the woods. Moonlight flickers through the trees, flickering patches of illumination that dance upon the earthen trail, vividly perceive the environment. And you follow the white horse down into a misty hollow that smells of damp ground that has never seen sun. The trail becomes mossy, slippery, so you move carefully and then ascending, always keeping pace with the magnificent animal that leads the way. And as the trail levels out, it begins to widen and almost seems to glow. You question the strange iridescence, assuming it must be moonlight. The trees are less dense here, but as the trail gets wider and wider, the intensity of the illumination becomes brighter and lighter, brighter and lighter. Perceive it vividly. And as the trail turns, it opens onto a shimmering meadow, glowing, iridescent, almost heavenly somehow. And in the center of the meadow is a temple filled with light. You stop. You feel no fear. You sense a peace unlike anything you've ever experienced before. This is so extraordinary. The horse tosses his head and whinnies, urging you on. And you follow the horse across the meadow to the temple. And as you get closer and closer, shimmering keepers of the temple emerge. Entities with serene faces, dressed in white flowing robes. Behind you hear the words, angels of light. And you feel the essence of their pure love and higher understanding. Angels of light, angels of light. The words echo through your mind, a far memory you can't quite touch. Three of the angels hug you at once, and you are filled with a sense of wonder and oneness, a sense that somehow this is your natural state of being. Two more angels step forward and take your hands, lifting you into the air, and you're floating toward the temple, flying into a more and more intense white light. You are guided to lie upon the altar, bathed in the light, a light more intense than any you could ever imagine, a light that seems to permeate every cell and every atom as it breathes you, bathes you in illumination. And you have never felt such inner warmth or such a sense of belonging as it bathes you in light and illumination. And as you absorb the light, you feel soothing hands on your head and body. The angels are removing all earthly tensions, taking them away, taking them away. Feel their hands and the light. Feel their hands and the light, taking all earthly tensions away. Feel the love and oneness. You feel tingly and alive and at peace with all life. Nurtured, loved, charged with healing energy. And an angel approaches carrying a sculptured white box. Another angel opens the box and extracts a small vial of oil. Opening the vial, the angel dabs it upon your third eye while whispering, "This oil will help you to recognize the miracles in your everyday life." The angel dabs it upon your third eye so that you will recognize the miracles in your everyday life. Another angel approaches now, bringing you an iridescent band of golden light, which is set upon your head as a halo, and the angel whispers in your ear, "You will now be more aware of the goodness within yourself and within others. You will now be more aware of the goodness within yourself and within others." And now another angel approaches carrying a sacred angelic robe. You sit up and they help you put it on. You put on the robe and they whisper, "This is a robe of protection from all undesirable things, seen and unseen, all forces and all elements." And wearing the robe, you feel the protective energy and loving intent surrounding you. It is a robe of protection from all undesirable things, seen and unseen, all forces and all elements. The music strikes a chord deep within you, tapping a soul memory of the enlightened entity you are beneath your earthly concerns. And as you mentally recall your true identity, the angels lift you from the altar and you're flying again, flying through the light, out of the temple, and being upheld by your loving benefactors, you wish for wings. Reading your thoughts, one of the angels smiles and says, "Wings carry the ethereal soul. Your mission is upon the earth." Another says, "You have been touched by the godlight, the starlight, the love light. You now know the work of the angels. So use this awareness to raise your vibrations and advance your soul so you can return to us." The angels set you gently upon the ground in the meadow beside the white horse. And these heavenly beings encircle you, radiating love. Go in love and peace. You know your mission. Go in love and peace. Again, the words echo in your mind, heard and perceived on a soul level, and your ethereal friends begin to ascend and drift away. And as you follow the horse across the meadow, you turn to see the angels disappearing into the temple. The moon has advanced halfway across the sky, and the night is a little cooler. As you walk the trail that brings you back to your waking life, back to your waking life, walking the trail that brings you back to your waking life, remembering angels, remembering angels, carrying the gifts of angels. You carry the gifts of angels as you awaken, remembering everything that you experienced in this peaceful meditation. And on the count of 5, you will awaken filled with joy, at peace with yourself, the world, and everyone in it. Number 1, coming on up and remembering everything, remembering angels. Number 2, coming on up a little more, carrying your gifts from the angels. Number 3, coming on up, sensing angelic love, balance, and harmony. Number 4, recall the situation and the room. And number 5, wide awake, open your eyes and feel good. Number 5, wide awake, wide awake. Now you'll have beautiful dreams tonight. Is there any questions on, because I know it's more of a self-hypnosis, but I get kind of all, try to go really deep and, get very deep as far as all the script. Right. Yeah, symbology seems to really work for me. When, I'm playing Richard Tennis and I visualize the Olympian who's going to win the game. Right. No, but really, try to really visualize that strength. So that's that sort of kind of symbology.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Now it's a break from me doing the straight old sort of thing. Tara comes in and adds that. Okay, you're going to go down, you're going to do your body relaxation, add the white light to it, the countdown. Now, you've got to give yourself the suggestions. So, you're going to give yourself suggestions, and you're going to use the mental movie technique. Now, there's 2 more things that I think are very powerful techniques to add to this. One is to take one of the suggestions that best summarizes what it is you desire, and you repeat it as a mantra. The mantra has power. And so you just say it over and over and over again, like 10 times. I will always, on my tapes or the CDs that I do, you'll usually find I will use 2 mantras, where I'll summarize it one way and then I'll summarize the goal of the tape or CD another way. And so I will say to you, I want you to repeat after me the mantra. And so then I just say it, da-dun, 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 over and over like a metronome, and 10 times. But in self-hypnosis, you say it over and over and over yourself. So you add a mantra technique to this. And I sometimes call it, if you've got any of my tapes or things, I sometimes call it a repeat technique. Okay, so you now got 3 things that you're doing. Now the format I like is now to repeat the suggestions again and to do another movie. So you did them once, easy to do them again, to repeat them again. Now do a mental movie. Now, the next technique that I would add is keyword programming, if it's appropriate to what you're doing. Now, keyword programming is taking a word or 2 or 3 words, and what you're doing is you're giving yourself a post-hypnotic suggestion that you can use the power of the programming later when you need it. Let's just say that you're going to be in a situation where you're really going to need to come up with some impromptu ideas. You're going to go into a meeting with your company, and you'd really like to be inspired to come up with some hot ideas in that meeting. So you give yourself the suggestion, when I say the word great ideas to myself, I immediately release this inner programming. I open to perceive great ideas. The key word, great ideas, are my programming for conditioned response. So you just program what it is you desire, and when I use this word, or you may say, when I stop what I'm doing, close my eyes, breathe deeply, and say this word to myself, great ideas, I will immediately open. I'll be more creative than I've ever been before. Ideas will just flow out of my mind. Whatever it may be. It can be a pain reduction technique. Okay, let's say you want to work with focusing concentration. You decide the word focus will be your keyword for conditioning. Now here's an example suggestion, the way I might do it on a tape, the way I might do it myself in my programming. I'm now going to give myself a key trigger word for post-hypnotic conditioned response. Anytime in my daily life that I find myself needing to focus my concentration, I will simply stop what I'm doing, close my eyes, and say the word focus quietly to myself. The word focus is a conditioned response signal to my subconscious mind, and when I say this word, I will immediately begin to block all thoughts but those related to what I am doing. Total laser-like concentration will be mine. The word focus now becomes powerful post-hypnotic suggestion I will experience as totally effective. And every time I give myself this suggestion, and every time I use my focus programming, it becomes more effective. So you get the idea. You don't have to use these words, and you can use these words. I think they're probably repeated many times out there in the web in different places. But this is if you are hypnotizing yourself for something you desire to later draw upon the power. And man, it works. You know, don't expect the first time you use it or the second time, but once you've got that couple weeks under your gut, it works. You know, once you've done it for 2 weeks' time, And then each time you do it, it'll be more effective. So, okay, we're running out of time, so I'm not going to have you go down in all on your own and come back up, because that'll be just a big blank space in here. But I'd like to answer any questions I can, or have Tara answer any questions she can about how to do this, what to do. Anything that we can provide responses on, we'd love to do it. Well, see, I gave her a suggestion just on, you can use this so many different ways. I gave her, I told her, I might have said every time you stick your finger in your nose, it'll be, and it can be whatever you want. But when you do, I just gave her that so that when you need to stabilize, if your stomach is feeling that you need to stabilize it, you will touch your finger. And so I noticed her sitting there going, and of course, it'll work.
In like full labor. And, you can say, I live with a hypnotist and I'm around him all the time. But, the last time he's regressed me, really, like when I've had a problem, is 13 years ago. And I had our last child. So it's not something that we do all the time with each other. We have 300 tapes, CDs to pick from. I usually, if I'm feeling sick, go listen to a CD. So it was a very weird incident that, Stone just happened to be at Stonehenge, and I have to be hypnotized on the lawn. Yeah, mudra. Yeah, it's mudra. Buddha. Yeah.
Give yourself a suggestion that every time I do this, I immediately go down into an altered state. I don't care. That's the
Yeah, I feel really good.
I will go into trance. I tell myself when I close my eyes, I breathe deeply, and I touch my thumb, I'll immediately go down into a deep trance, and that I will open psychically. I'll become extremely empathic and perceptive. So it has. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be anything, whatever you want. Somebody else has their hand up.
Program any way you want. Yeah. Who else had back here? Yes. Well, you would just tell yourself, you're going to give yourself suggestions, you're going to see mental movies, you can use the mantra-like technique, but you also just give yourself the suggestion that this word means this. When I'm awake, after this session, when I say the word da-da-da-da, I will get this reaction. Yeah. I don't want to overcomplicate it, but it'll cause you then to, but see, you wouldn't use it in every situation. Maybe you're trying to lose weight, as an example.
Yeah, and you could do like a cookie. If you saw a cookie, you could say poison. So every time, you're not going to eat that cookie.
I forget that they're taping this. So, but let's say you're trying to lose weight and you're so tempted to run to the fridge, and you just say, when I do this, when I say the word willpower, I will have so much willpower, I will no longer have any desire whatsoever to run to the fridge or eat anything else, So it's just whatever you choose to program, whatever word that would work for you. And it's not important as to how it's phrased, it's just that you're clear. All you have to do is be clear to this part of us. And when I say this, this is what will happen. So it's real simple. Just, I say this, this results. But it's all for after you're awake. It can be a week from now, it can be a month from now, but you just keep programming it each time so that it becomes a part of your session. You may not use it for 2 months, but boy, it'll be in there then when the time comes if you need it. Or concentration, or inspiration. It's really anything you want it to be. Yeah, anyone else? Anything here on what you'd like to, if you're not clear, you got to go home and practice this. That's what it amounts to.
To exercise regularly is so much more difficult. I came along here.
Well, I have a tape and a CD. called I Will Exercise Regularly. And it is programming. It's one of the quick fix series because we know people aren't going to spend much time on that. So one side is sleep programming, the other side is just a 15-minute session. And it just hammers these suggestions home. I will exercise. I'm going to do it. You know, and their suggestions are phrased just right for that. Well, I play it regularly. I just say, if I'm not exercising, I better make myself do this.
Then just they've had the programming the night before. They can sometimes it'll kick in. It should kick in. Yeah, they don't have to listen just exactly before. They might be a little too sleepy and too, they should do it really at night.
1, 2. We made our recording engineer buddy back here very happy. The tape is messed up, you guys. You were sending me that psychically, weren't you? Okay, got it. A little slow though at this time of night. All right, anyone else? Anything here that we can answer for you? Yes, ma'am. Well, just do it. If you do it once a day, you're doing great. Just do it once a day. If you want to put it on a tape, just any tape player, just sit down and voice it in there. If you don't like it, run it back and do it how you want to do it.
My self-suggestions every morning when I'm waking up.
You can do it that way, but do it once a day, at least for a couple weeks, so you really get it into. Well, you could do that. Yeah, sure. You can just do the countdown and count up. You're developing your hypnotic ability at that point. But you want to work on something too, I would imagine, because it won't take much more time.
But when you're first waking up in the morning, you're already pretty, down. So that's when I give
yourself suggestions. But we're talking here formal self-hypnosis, so that's a different thing. Yeah. Oh, you can work on other things. Don't work on too much heavy stuff at once. Don't work on trying to stop smoking and lose weight at the same time, type of thing. That would be heavy. The suggestion will a really well delivered hypnotic suggestion has about a 4-day, but you've got to be at your good depth for it to be. That's really for people that have a real depth, to have it be a strong command that is really holding that long. You've resolved all your life problems. You lost all the weight and you got everything. Got it. Right. Then you work on something else. Then you work upon being the most intelligent person in Turkey. Or you develop on your writing style or whatever else you want. I've never run out of things to use it for yet. I use it just all the time. And no, just more. They're recording this. Got it, man. Okay, I think we used up our time. Tara's got a few books left. Those are the only books left on the planet. We found a catch of her books here in England for some reason. So if anybody wants those on the way out, they're £5 each, and they are the last ones in existence. Yeah. So grab them. Listen, thank you so much for being with us. I wish we had hours more. I could keep going and going on this, but I really appreciate your being here. Thank you so much.
Everybody get home.